Start the war, surrender. You're gone too far, surrender. From slavery days, they've been kidnapping Africans and putting on slave ships, it's happened. Breaking and entering the motherland gate, stealing facts, artifacts, grave robbing. Allies from other countries that were aiding and abetting don't want return motherland things. They rap doctrine, them don't overstand, holding our truth hostage and identity thieving. Them criminal, subliminal, and criminal. Them criminal, incriminate, so criminal. Attempted murder with intent to kill their food and water, slow poison them, kill more as them shoot to kill, vicious virus shots firing at arm and dangerous shooting. Pointy shot shooting, hitman Babylon, hit and run, genocide and gun, hate homiciding, deciding to kill joy with pain. Ghetto target practicing and inmates experimenting. So you got the right to remain silent. They're criminal, subliminal, and criminal. They're criminal, incriminate.
Retinal scans as them advance for the technology. The way they stop, only one knows the Almighty. Some serial killers Killer's company, woman laboratory. Eugenics project side effect, torment the baby. Medicinal bag of chips we feed the greedy dummy. Marionette the money power hungry. Humanity been treading in place already. Insanity tailor customizing species. First the other interfere where they should not be. Backfire sit down patient in a them lobby. There's repercussion for just the acts of iniquity. In Jacob of indignation there's no pity. There's no remorse and no way out and no sympathy. Continue to run your mouth and now you're gonna see. Crucify the Antichrist, put all of them down to side. Stop mess with your people life, safety wise, money wise. You itching to be destructive, never have nothing good to give. Blatant with your negative, wolf away, wolf loading. Wickedly inquisitive, my life is your prerogative. No need to be instructive, don't try tell me how to live. Their vision is so distorted, their mission was interrupted. Curtain coming down on them, you don't get your moment of fame. Things they call an act of God, merely an act of man trying to be God. We set up that anti-life of illusion and invited the whole world to them yard. Subliminal messages intruding so rude when invading the thoughts. Them one go silence the lamp, but the lamp protected by lion. Things they call an act of God, merely an act of man trying to be God. We set up that anti-life of illusion and invited the whole world to them yard. Subliminal messages intruding so rude when invading the thoughts. Them one go silence the lamp, but the lamp protected by lion.
Shalom, Mishpachah, shalom, and welcome to another Friday Night Live. Hope I can be seen and heard clearly. Let me know. All right, shalom, Rebbe.
Shalom, Brother Shay. Shalom, everyone. Shalom, shalom, and good night. Happy Friday Night Live. I guess it's night here, but somewhere else it's probably early morning.
Yeah.
Early morning, where the birds are starting to sing. But all praise to the Most High. Greetings, family, in the name of our King, and welcome back again. Mishpachah Worldwide. I know you all are coming in right now. Those of you down in the Caribbean, shalom. Happy Friday Night Live. The families over in South and Central America, shalom to each and every one of you. Over here in these confused states of America, shalom to each and every one of you. Across the border in Canada, no different as far as confusion is concerned. Over in the UK, shalom to you all. In Africa, shalom. Europe, shalom. Middle East, the Far East, and every island of the sea, we greet you all with love and say shalom, shalom.
Shalom. Shalom, Elder.
Shalom, Elder.
Shalom, Brother Hoshe. Shalom, Brother Yona.
How
All
are you?
praises and Shalom, family.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Well, family, it's good to be back. Let's get started with a word of prayer. Ella has the mic, so let us get him started with prayer, and then we'll get into tonight's class.
All praises to the Most High. Heavenly Father, we thank you. We praise you for watching over us during the hours of the day, taking us out to our jobs, our shopping, wherever we went today. It was your blessing, your protection, your guidance, your holy angels that was with us, protecting us and take us safely throughout this dangerous road and everywhere and bring us back home safely. Father, we thank you. As we on the air tonight, as we come together to receive the blessing that you have provided for us, we thank you. We pray that thou may bless our teachers, Brother O'Shea, Brother Yona, as they bring the words tonight, teach and read. We pray that thou may bless them, Father. Speak to them, through them, for them, and may your name be praised. May the word take full effect in our life. Remember those that are sick, those that have lost their loved ones. We pray that thou may work miracles in each life and comfort each heart, because we love you and we thank you. And we ask all in Yeshua's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Elder.
Thank you and welcome, family. Yep.
Well, family, we are definitely living in some strange times. I think by now the world, you all know, and the world know that there's a new El Papa in town. Americano El Papa, right? From Chicago, a new Pope. And these things happen not by accident. It's all part. He looks almost like John Paul II, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's right there. See him right there?
Yeah, when you look at him, he looks like John Paul II. So he's the first ever American Pope. And, you know, and America has been officially a government for over 200 years, right? Something like that. And having an American Pope, first of all, according to the history that was taught in school, everybody was running away from the popes in Europe to come over here, and also running away from the rulership of the dictatorship of monarchy to come over here. Yeah. And for some reason, Washington, D.C., Baltimore is Catholic, right? And the White House and the Capitol Hill, it looks no different from the Vatican. I don't know if you can pull up side by side Vatican and United States government, and it's all the same looking stuff, brothers and sisters. So I think it's a sister sent me a message asking my thoughts on what's going on, and all I can say is we just got to watch and see, because it's very strange. Normally, like the last pope that was there in office, they said he's the first South American pope. Yeah, please. The man's family, he's bloodline Italian. He's bloodline Italian, right? A lot of Italians settle in Argentina. So he's bloodline Italian, Roman. This guy, I don't know if he's bloodline Roman. I didn't look it up. But a lot of strange things is about to happen. We just got to watch and see. That's why we, as the awakened Israelites, we are so grateful. I'll tell you, just reflecting the years when, because I was teaching for many years before, but then when I first had my desk set up to do YouTube and do broadcast, live streaming and all that stuff, family, so shalom to Shireen, shalom to each and every one of you in the chat, shalom, shalom. I remember making this statement. This platform, this forum is designed specifically for the lost sheep of the house of Israel scattered among these nations. And I still believe that today. We have taught a whole lot with regards to we being the Israelites awakening to the truth. And I'm so grateful to our King that we are where we are today, learning what we have learned, And I'm still amazed at the things that the Most High have allowed me to understand, and I'm so grateful for it. But being an Israelite is not just a label. Being an Israelite is really something that we have to put in action with lots of faith, lots and lots of faith, right? We cannot just be, yeah, you can look at that. Well, no, get Capitol Hill, Capitol Hill.
Instead, okay.
Yeah, get Capitol Hill for instead of the White House. The White House is Roman. You can see that's Roman. But if you get Capitol Hill in D.C., you'll see it's identical, right? And all the state all the state buildings are designed the same way too. So we know when Daniel's interpreted the dream of Nebuchadnezzar with the feet of iron, left and right feet. You got left and right Christianity, which is the Roman and the Orthodox, right? East and West, and things of that nature. And so we find the same thing trickling down today. So, Mishpachah, knowing grandfather of the Pope was Italian, yeah. Knowing full well that we are Israelites is not just a label. It's important for us to apply, what we have learned, what we need to do as a people. And that's where as I say, that's where the rubber meets the road. That's where you have that friction. So I really encourage us to be strong and try our best to keep it pushing. Keep it pushing. Brother Barry, I hope you got the thing I sent you. I don't remember seeing any response from you. So, brother, shoot me a message. Let me know if you got the thing that you requested. So, with that said, family, El Papa is in the house, a new one. And I think he is anti-war, so we'll see what comes of that. Speaking about war, you got the Indian brothers, Pakistan, which is the Muslim side, and the Hindu side throwing rockets at each other, throwing spears. Yeah, javelins at each other. Javelins. Javelins at each other. And so we don't know what's going to happen with that thing. And now Israel also, Israelis, is saying that they're going to take over all of Gaza. Forget about trying to do peace work. Netanyahu said he got the green light to go take over the whole thing. So it's going to be pretty interesting. Why am I starting off this way? Why are we beginning this way? Because we got to prepare ourselves to survive in this wilderness, the prayer, practicing things, getting things together, and also preparing. Brother Shay, I don't know if you got it open in text, but if you want, and you want to pull up Sirach 37:16 to kind of break the ground, I don't know if you got something you want to start with.
We can start with that.
Okay, that's a good one, which will kind of highlight what you want to present today, because last week was pretty good. I hope everyone was able to go and look at the rebroadcast and get yourself together. And we need to be reminded of all the things that is coming on the earth and just prepare ourselves. I would hate for us to find ourselves with our pants down and ourselves exposed. So it says, this is Sirach 37:16. It says, let reason go before every enterprise. Let reason. There must be a purpose, right? Before every enterprise, and counsel before every action. Y'all see that? Before every action. So you got to set goals before you, and get as much wisdom as necessary. Do the research, do the studies, ask, and then make your moves. That's how we are supposed to build things up and get ourselves prepared. So all the wisdom and the counsel that we have been receiving over the years, even tonight's class and last week's broadcast, should be able to stimulate our thoughts and to prepare ourselves, because we are definitely in times where we can't afford any missteps at all. So with that said, Brother Shay, it's all yours. So, family, I pray that you stay attentive, and we got lots of things to talk about.
Hallelujah. Yes, Mishpika, if you missed last week's class, you can go back and check it on YouTube or Rumble, and you can catch some things there that we start off. So we're going to continue tonight. I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 videos to look at. Very interesting stuff that we're going to get into and hopefully learn some things tonight. So this is part 2 of surviving the wilderness. And like I said last week, the wilderness is the world. And we are trying to continue to live and thrive and to serve the Most High, save our families as long as we can in righteousness. And the Most High is going to do his part. He asks us to do our part, which is to keep his commandments, which is to build our homes, plant our gardens, and to take care of our families. And when we start to do those things, the Most High is going to fight for us in other areas where we cannot right now, because we are still in captivity. We don't have no tribal warriors out there with bullets and shields and bombs and all. We don't have none of those things.
There's tribal, huh?
Yeah, because when you go back in our records, our scripts, the different families had certain men that went out to war, and we don't have that right now. And I believe, this is what I believe, that when the time is right, the Most High is going to put that spirit upon us again in these last days to defend ourselves, to protect our families, while we maneuver through the days of tribulation. This is what I believe. So we just have to be patient, keep his commandments, and he will do the rest for us. So surviving the wilderness part 2. Praying is key. Practicing is very important, and preparing. This is what we're trying to teach our family tonight. So again, surviving the wilderness, we are trying to exist in this world as a people, patiently waiting for the return of our Savior. A world where evil is the normal and the law is irrelevant, because that's what they teach us today. The law doesn't exist. The Big Ten is out of the churches. You can do whatever you want. And the church has become the wilderness now. It's wild, wild west in there. You see all kinds of madness. We have the blueprint, like I said last week, which is our scrolls. So we have no excuse, Mishpaka. We have everything in front of us. The Most High has equipped us. We just have to get off our lazy butts and actually start physically doing what we're supposed to do. Okay, so we have the blueprint to survive the chaos that is about to be unleashed on this world. Like Rebbe talked about El Papa coming into the scene. That's all of the dominoes that are coming into place and all of the chess pieces on the checkerboards that are forming. They are preparing for their final assault on the world, okay? And everything that we have, again, is found in Torah. So do not be distracted with the Met Galas and the playoff sports and the gossips here and there and all of the craziness that you see out there. Focus on what we're trying to do as a family, which is to survive, okay?
Hey, Brother Shay, just taking a quick peek at the news, and it's mentioned that the president wants to, he's looking into suspending habeas corpus. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that, which is the right to challenge the court for being detention, right? So if someone, arrests you or something and just hold you, you should be able to have the right to challenge that detention in court. You know what I mean? So I tell you, when you really look at what's happening, family, a lot of things is kind of like pointing towards the beast system, right? That's why tonight's class and other classes like this is important.
All right, so let's start off with this video first. This was just a couple days ago. It's a 2-minute long video. This is the news, so fair use. And this is to ask the question. I mean, of course, smart individuals, smart Hebrews, are not going to put themselves in a compromising situation. But let's just say, for giggles, right, that one of us find ourselves in this predicament because we weren't paying attention. Let's look at this video.
The big local story has now made headlines around the nation. A woman pulled under, killed by a gator. Since we broke the news of her death last night at 11, we've learned she was 61 years old. And we've learned her husband also ended up in the water. It happened while they were canoeing about 50 miles south of Kissimmee, where the mouth of Tiger Creek feeds right in to Lake Kissimmee. That's in Polk County, east of Lake Wales. News 6's Troy Campbell went to the woman's neighborhood.
Right now, we're standing outside of the community where the victim lived in Davenport. We spoke to several neighbors who say they're shocked and saddened to hear about the deadly gator attack.
I don't know why they're shocked. I don't know why they're shocked, and we'll see why in a
The
minute.
Citrus Ridge community in Davenport, identifying these social media photos as 61-year-old Cynthia Diekma.
This is a devastating loss, and our hearts go out to everyone affected by this tragedy.
FWC says just after 4 o'clock Tuesday afternoon, Diekma was canoeing with her husband near the mouth.
Now look at this sign. What does the sign say, Mishpaka? Read that for me, Rebbe.
Caution, no swimming. Alligators are dangerous.
That's it. Why would you want to go into the water in a canoe? You know how Esau is already. They like to be disobediently adventurous. That's the way I put it.
Well, it does say no swimming. I mean, caution is big, and no swimming is big enough, but it didn't say anything about a canoe. I think
alligators are dangerous. Do not approach, frighten, or feed. This is a state law. But as usual, the animals are in their own habitat, minding their business, and here comes these foolish heathens to disturb stuff. And then they want to take it out on the poor alligator. He's just doing his job. He's minding his business. So let's finish this here.
South of Tiger Creek on Lake Kissimmee in Polk County.
We've launched a full investigation into what happened and are working closely with our law enforcement partners.
Brother Yaakov, you say I fish there all the time and I see those fools in boats smaller than the gators? You take some pictures.
Biologists and our wildlife specialist and the Polk County Sheriff's Office.
Investigators say the canoe they were in went over an alligator in about 2.5 feet of water. FWC says the alligator likely got spooked when the canoe rode over it, causing the gator to flip the canoe. The couple was thrown into the water. FWC says Diekma's body was found shortly after.
She ended up on top of the alligator in the water and was bitten. Her husband attempted to intervene, but was unsuccessful.
Of course he's going to be unsuccessful. Two older people in the water where they're supposed to be. Find another water location that have no gators.
How old is she?
She was 61.
61. So 61 is the new 41. So she was 41 years old when she died, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Karen got snatched up.
Mm-hmm.
That's enough of that. So I just wanted to share that to open up to say, you never know what will happen where you find yourself, but don't be like one of the foolish heathens out there, okay? Be one that is always attentive to your surroundings. Always know what's going on around you. That way you know exactly what's happening. I mean, you don't know. Maybe you may have to cross that water at some point in life because of whatever reason. And you have to be prepared for that, for things like that. All right, let me show one more video before we start. Where is it? It is right here. Okay. And this could be anywhere at any time. Fair use, fair use. I guess that's the biggest you'll get. And she's coming to say Fido. Let me play it again. Now, okay, so I'm positive a minute. So we live in a place where here in America, there are wildlife. I don't know, and I know Canada have wildlife. Everywhere has wildlife, but you have to know your area. And yes, in this state that we live in, there are bears. There are mountain lions, which is the same thing as a cougar. There's just different names, but the same exact animal. There are wolves and foxes and coyotes, and there are bobcats and snakes and all types of different wildlife. And other places where you live may have some other things. So you have to be aware of where you live. Okay. Now, who would run out and do this? Any of the sisters in the chat? Would y'all run out and push Goldilocks and the Three Bears over? Press play again. I count like what, 5 dogs she has? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 dogs. Well, she has 1 dog and 4 little tiny ones that make
Well, the way, just keep that frame right there. You see that position? That's the Wonder Woman position. Look, she looks just like Wonder Woman right there. Doesn't she look like Wonder Woman? Look at that. Play it back again.
Dun, dun, dun.
I don't know if you can put it in slow motion or what, but look at that. She's transformed into Wonder Woman. Look at that. Look at that. Watch that. That's Wonder Woman. You see that? Straight to the bear. Straight to the bear. That's a why I tell you. Wonder Woman.
Sisters, y'all ready for that? I guess so. I guess the guy in the background is yelling at her like, "What are you doing?" All right. So again, Ms. Pika, anything can happen at any time. We talked about I showed a video last time with the girl who was driving. Matter of fact, let me play that one more time. Let me pull it up real quick. That way we can kind of refresh. Because I know some Mishpachah said they missed it. They came in a little late. And they missed that video. So let me play that one with the girl that was driving. It is right here. Okay. So let's look at it again. For those of you who missed it, this is it. We're going to play it 2 times and then we're going to move on. So she's driving, minding her business. And I saw the video. If you look up later on, she goes back and she's shocked. She's like, I can't believe I actually survived this because there's no way she could have responded to what happened. She's just driving and the car cuts her, hits her, and how the car hit her wheel, she couldn't pull or turn anyway. Just the vehicle just went right off. So she's driving and boom, right off the edge of the bridge, dangling. And the whole truck was basically hanging off. And the people was there trying to help her. Let's look at it one more time. Yes, it's that. She's alive. Yep, there's no sound on that. So just saying, Mr. Ka, we don't know what can happen. There's another video that I could probably find it later, but this semi truck, a tanker that had fuel, flipped over, and the fuel spilled all on the highway, and people were just trying to back up, and that fire spread all the way down the highway and caught on fire. The whole thing exploded, and people were running around. So again, anything is possible to happen. This is not to scare anyone, any type of scare tactics or anything. It's just to be cautious and to know, in case of situations, how do you respond to those things, okay? All right, so what we talked about last week was, and I'm just going to go over this real quick to kind of catch up where we were, is having some goals set up. Read this for me, Rebbe, by yourself.
Buy yourself a small backpack and supply it with the basic survival items, and then never leave home without it. Know how to use each item and practice with them ahead of time. Don't wait until you are sitting in the rain with only a few minutes of daylight left to try to figure out how a fire starter works.
And that's how many of our people are. They wait till last minute to try to figure out how something works. It's like they're like, yeah, we're ready. We have all the stuff together, like the Bible talks about in Matthew 25 verses 1 to I think verses 8. It talks about the 5 that were wise and the 5 that were foolish, and they had their lamps. The foolish ones had lamps. So some Hebrews will go buy flashlights. They'll buy batteries, but the batteries will be in the bedroom somewhere, and the flashlight will be in the kitchen. And as soon as the power goes off, vloop, they're scrambling around, busting their toes, hitting their head, trying to find the lights. And this is where you always have to be prepared and try things before, you know, it comes to a point where you don't have anything set.
Brother Shay, also I think it's important for us to kind of memorize, have that mental muscle going, you know, where we can memorize, you know, places, steps, even in the dark. Just like when you get up from the bed to go to the bathroom to use it, you don't want to put that bright light on, so you know how to navigate to the restroom, to the bathroom. It's the same way. A lot of us, before you go to sleep, you already know where your phone is, for example. You know where your water, whatever it is that you have close to your bedside. So if you get out of your sleep, you know where to put your hand to get certain things. It's just something that I think is important for us to kind of memorize in case when the power goes off, you know, at least you know how many steps to go certain places before you can, you know, get what you need.
That's right. Let me pull up this video real quick, just to share what I was talking about, so you can actually see. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Let me find this video. Yeah, so there's a lot of things that we have to get ourselves together that will help us better ourselves. Okay, here it is right here. So let's make it big so y'all can see it. So as you can see it right there, the tanker explodes, and you see how the fire is running back. It's ethanol, alcohol spilled onto the road. People are running. The fire is going all over. And this was April 6th. This was last month.
Can you play it again?
Yeah, it's playing. It's on a loop.
Okay.
Right there, boom. Imagine you on the bus, minding your business, trying to get home, and this happens. Yeah. You can Google it and find it. There's more video that shows it in more detail. And you can hear the people talking and stuff, and you see the fire. But this one is just on a loop. I just wanted to kind of show you that one. All right. Let's go back over here. All right, so setting clear goals is essential for maintaining motivation. So you want to have that energetic spirit and hope to survive in a situation. You don't want to come out all scared and terrified and don't know what to do. Okay, you have goals, provide a sense of purpose. So you know exactly, if I set this up with my family and I, we know exactly if something happens, my wife knows where to go, or my husband knows where to meet me, or my children, if they're in school or at the grocery store, wherever. If an earthquake hits, a tornado happens, an airplane crash, a car happens, whatever the situation is, war breaks out, we know we can meet at this location to get our heads together, to scramble and to come up with a plan of survival, okay? Whether it's long-term, short-term, how to survive in those situations. Again, we looked at the gear, and in the chat we was talking about, you know, if you had to pick 3 of these items, which one would you pick? And some Hebrews say they will pick a tent, a flashlight, a knife. Some would say a first aid kit, a fire starter, and a mini pot. So,
and that also depends on location too, because if you live in the Caribbean somewhere, certain things is not going to be important to you because you got warmth all year round, but you might have rain, and some folks don't know it, but if you spend the night on the beach, a lot of people haven't actually camped on the beach. I have, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you camp on the beach, it's usually cooler, very cooler at night. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So you may think, oh, it's going to be warm. T-shirt. Not always the case. Even in the Caribbean, it can be very cold at night. Mm-hmm. So you want to make sure that And keep in mind, if you're in water, the water does not, your body can't really control your body temperature well when you're immersed in a pool or water or river or something. So these
Your
are
body
some
loses heat.
yeah, these are some of the things you got to consider.
Yep. So again, you look at this picture here, Mishpachah, you know your environment, you know where you live, you know your family members, what they need as far as necessity goes. And this is just a basic example of things that are good to have in your survival bag. We call it a bug out bag or a go bag, whichever term you want to use.
And you know what? What's a good place to go for stuff like that is your Army and Navy store, family. You can get a lot of items that were once military. It can be U.S. military. It can be foreign military. You'll find
Your surplus
fatigues.
store.
Surplus store, yeah. You'll find fatigues. You'll find all this stuff here that he's showing you, sometimes for cheap, real cheap. You know what I mean? Because it's like there's a surplus. The military may have some stuff from the 1980s that is still good. You know, canteens, forks, and whatever, maps and stuff like that. Really well-made stuff. And it's just, they just, come up with new designs. But you can buy stuff for cheap. So those are the good place to hunt for gear like that. Especially for the men, for the pants. And I would even recommend, I know our sisters are supposed to wear skirts and blouses and things of that nature, but it's always good to have a pair of fatigues just in case you're in a situation where, for body heat, for protection between the legs and all that stuff, underneath, or even just in general, if you got to run, you can't really run so well, if you're wearing certain types of garments. So it's always good to have, those things in your bag, right? And let me give you one last thing before you continue, Brother Shay. Also, from a distance, if you are, let's say you're in the field in a distance and you're wearing a long dress. If there's an enemy pursuing you and trying to get away, you're trying to move with your family, and they see one guy and they can identify from a distance females, that's not a good thing either. That's why even in the military, what women tend to do, they would tie up their hair in a bun or something, and they would wear, of course, they'll wear garments like a man too. The reason for that also is because you wanna try to throw people off that it's all men. Okay?
Limit the.
Right, because when, a lot of times women are always the first vulnerable that are out there. So you don't want to be a target. I'll just put it like that. You don't want to be a target, so just keep that in mind. We don't go out necessarily and dress in pants or whatever, but I think it's appropriate for emergencies to have something like that in your stuff just in case push comes to shove and you have to protect yourself some way or the other. That will be a good way to go. Just wisdom. That's all I'm saying. I'm not advising any to go out there. Yeah, Rabbi Yonah says you can wear pants. That's not what I'm saying. Okay? Just use wisdom according to the word of the Most High.
Yeah. Now, in every place that you live, here in the United States, I don't know about Canada per se. Can y'all hear me good?
Yes, you're good.
Okay. There's Walmarts, Targets, and some other stores that are out there. Camping stores that are there. Fishing stores, hunting stores, whatever. You can find those things there also. If you go to Walmart, you go to the camping aisle or the sports area. There's an aisle that has a bunch of camping stuff. The prices are decent. And they have some clothing and some other things that are there that you can actually go to and get things. And your local dollar store also, Dollar General, 99-cent store, whatever, they have certain items that you can get to. First aid kits,
glow sticks,
flashlights, safety pins, even backpacks, foil, the foil, emergency blanket. There's a lot of things that you can get there from different stores. All right, let's move on to the next slide.
And also a map. A map of the United States is very important. Get one that's laminated. Because if something push come to shove and and there's no power,
No, when, not if, when, because it will happen. You will have moments where you won't have access to power, and physical maps will come in handy. Whether it's here in America, in Europe, in Africa, South America, Canada, know your location and know the areas that you can move around in. This is like now that we're talking is a time that you should be learning these things. Like go out and say, okay, I know that's a really bad place to be. I don't want to get caught over there. I know this place is a little more safer. If I have to, if something happens, I know I can come to this area and catch my breath or something, or meet some folks over here. So learn those places that you can go, that you can survive, even if it's 3 days, a week, a month, something like that. And also, when you look at all of this stuff that we have here in these bags, go and get them and practice using them. Don't just get the stuff and put it in a closet, because you don't know how to use a fire starter. When the lights go out, that's when you're going to want to try to start to use it. You never set up a tent before. When the lights go out, you're going to want to try and set up a tent. You want to be at least fluent enough to know how to use the items and the tools and the supplies that you have, that when emergency happens, you're prepared and know how to use it, okay? All right, so the first thing that we talked about last time was identify your risks. We talked about the train derailment that happened in Ohio. We're just going to read the first part here briefly. Identify your risks. Read that top part for me, Rebbe.
What are the hazards where you live or work?
So know where you live and work. If you live close to a plant, a chemical plant, power lines in case the power lines go down, train tracks, detention center, if you live close to a jail, if you live in a bad neighborhood that has, very bad drug activities, crackheads, whatever in that area, if you live close by. Because sometimes you can be one street over and the neighborhood is beautiful, and that back street over there is all crackheads.
Yeah.
And you don't know. And when stuff starts happening, these zombified people start coming over to your location, and then now you're the target. Your house is easy pickings.
And also, Brother Shay, I remember during the times of the hurricanes and stuff, when only certain supermarkets was open, usually there was only like one way to that marketplace, and before you get there, you don't even know what you're gonna encounter on your way. So it's always good to have a few different, ways you can get to where you need to go. Right? You could be in the Caribbean too, and the certain neighborhoods, like for example, like in Jamaica, there's a few places that you don't want to be at all, right? And it's well known for the crime and things of that nature. So you got to know where the trouble is and try to find ways around that if something happens. Now, that doesn't mean to say that the criminal is always going to be criminal during times of adversity, because sometimes the best of people comes out. You'd be really surprised. But it's always good to be on the safe side than to take preventative and be precautious about certain things.
Yeah. Yep, because you may live close to a low lying area where the water can rise rapidly. You remember what's the hurricane? No, the one Katrina that happened in 2005, in Louisiana, where the levees broke. Okay, that's just an example of that. So if you live in the mountains, if your roads may be cut off because of a blizzard or something, or in the desert, whatever environment you live in, know your environment. Continue, Rebbe.
Find out what natural or human-caused disasters pose a risk for you.
Again, know if something's going to happen, you know exactly how it's going to happen, so you're prepared. Go ahead.
Do you live near a floodplain or a chemical facility?
Uh-huh.
Are you prepared for an unexpected man-made disaster that can strike at any time?
So always expect the unexpected. That's what I was taught in school years ago. Always expect the unexpected, meaning you're not paranoid. You're not looking around like, like you are jittery. You're just going on your normal day. And if something happened, you're prepared. You know how to function. You're not losing your mind. You're not, panicking. All right, number 2.
Create a family disaster plan. Your family needs a plan that tells everyone where to meet if you have to evacuate, who you've identified as an out-of-state family contact, how to get emergency information in your community, and how to take care of your family's pets.
Mm-hmm. So,
Now,
go ahead. You say something?
yes, the Marvel she posted, women in pants in emergency situation, question mark. Who wouldn't pull their sheep out of a pit on a Shabbat? Yes, the Marvels, that is correct. One of the reasons why I brought that up too is because some people are glorified Christians, super holy, right? They would never pull their ass out of a pit. I put it like that. They would never make those necessary steps. You cannot maneuver if you have debris all around you and you got a long dress dragging to the ground because onward Christian soldiers in your blood, right? And a crooked cross and all that stuff is on your mind. You're gonna find yourself ripping that dress. You're gonna find yourself getting yourself in problems. You got to be dressed a certain way to maneuver, and to move fast, move quickly. That's the reasons why in the military you don't find women who are in any type of military wearing dresses. That doesn't work. Okay, that's an obstacle. That's why women stay home. But when it's an emergency, you got to do things that is important for saving of life. You can't keep Shabbat if you're dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the women uniforms in the field, when you're in the field, and we're talking about the wilderness. We're not talking about normal situation. In the military, the women wear their ball gown dresses and stuff when they are ceremonial stuff. We're not talking about that. We're talking about wilderness survival field. Yeah. So have a disaster plan with the mishpachah. You have little ones. Again, you want to teach them areas, survival stuff, how to use a fire extinguisher, how to set, how to lock the doors correctly. Just basic stuff. A route if they're coming from school and something happened, where to go, how to get there, where to meet up with, if an earthquake happened, any disaster, at least the little lights would know exactly how to prepare themselves and protect themselves. Because sometimes the phone service may not work. And how are you going to communicate? Back then we didn't have no cell phone. It was, you had, I mean, long before I came in existence, they ain't had none of that stuff. But then later on, you have the rotary phone. You come in and you have a landline. But then you had pay phones later on. Now those things are obsolete. You can't find a pay phone. You had pagers that you could have, and then go make the phone calls. You had a bunch of change jingling in your pocket. You don't have that no more. So if these cellular devices go down, how are you going to communicate? I was talking to a guy, was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. Yesterday. He looked at me, he's like, because I was at the store, he said he had his phone. He says, man, I remember back then when I used to memorize all the numbers in my head. I had a human Rolodex in my head. Now, I can't remember nothing. Since I have this phone, I can't remember no numbers. And it was just funny that he said that, because I was thinking, yeah, back in the day, you remember all the numbers, you remember addresses, you remember different things. It was up here. Now you ask your child, what's the address home? I don't. Let me look at my phone. How do you get from point A to point? Let me look at my phone. What's the number? Let me look at my phone. So nobody knows how to think anymore for themselves. So this is where you start to practice with the children, because it starts with them first, okay?
Hey, Brother Shay, jiggle your mic cord just a little bit. And because Mishpachah is saying if your mic is low.
My mic is low. Let me see.
Just jiggle the cord on the board itself.
I did. How about now? Is
Yeah, that's
that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Check the volume here. All right. Is that better, Mishpachah?
Yeah, that's better.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Number 3.
Practice your disaster plan after you have sat down.
Go ahead.
After you have sat down with your family and written your plan, practice it. Start by having family members meet at a designated spot outside your home, like you would after a fire or after the shaking stops. Know how to respond in the event of any disaster, whether you stay put indoors or whether to evacuate your neighborhood by car. If your family needs to evacuate, know the proper evacuation procedures and routes.
And that is correct. The problem is we don't practice. We don't practice. So you go to back then. I don't have to do it now still, but back then in school, they used to have fire drills, and even at some companies that you work for, they would have fire drills, evacuation routes. If something happened in the grocery store, if there is a live action, active shooter, because those things are happening today now. You know, Walmart minding your business, pushing your cart, and I remember this happened. This was maybe 4 months ago. I think 4 months ago. My wife and I were at Walmart. She's in another aisle, and I'm here, and a fight broke out just right in front of me. Three guys fist fighting. I mean, cans flying, and I had to back up, and I had to look around, make sure nobody was around. And I says, let me just go the other way. I'm not getting involved. And I just kept it moving. I went and found my wife, and we continued our shopping on the other side. And the law enforcement stepped in. So it can happen at any time. Stuff can happen. So have a disaster plan or a route and practice it. If something happened, how do I get from point A to point B? Your children need to know these things also in the neighborhoods. If you live in high-rise cities or projects, and something happened, meet me on the first floor over by this tree, by this swinger or whatever it is, so we can get out of here and get down across the bridge, wherever you live. If you live out in the Caribbean somewhere, you know what coconut tree to meet under, or what bush to go by. I'm just kidding. All right, let's go to the next one. Build a disaster supply kit for your home and car. This is what we talked about. Having something in your vehicles. I remember here in Atlanta, here in Georgia, in the Atlanta area, when they had, this was I think last year, was it last year or year before, when they had some stormy weather, and there was some heavy flooding downtown. People were stranded, even in the dorms. They were stranded, and they left their cars on the side of the road. They were there for a day. Some people had to stay in their cars for a day, overnight, because they couldn't get out from where they were. They had nothing. It could happen in the wintertime. It has happened many times. You're out driving, either traveling from state to state or something, working, and you're in traffic. Tornado happens. And
you got to listen to reason too. If the Ruach revealed to you, let's say for example, you are at your job, and there's an alert saying, hey, so this is going to be happening within the next hour or so, and you got to move. Get going. Don't. Your boss may tell you, well, stay and it'll be okay. But Mishpachah, I'll tell you from my own personal experience, we had an ice storm, snowstorm, ice storm that came through the Atlanta area. And checking the news, it said this is going to be some serious stuff. All right. So I went to the boss was home, so the manager on duty was there. I says, hey, listen, this is going to be happening pretty soon. Should we cut loose early and head home? He's like, no, just wait. I says, yo, Peace out. I took off. I
Two
left him right
fingers.
there. You know, Mr. Picard, I barely made it home. When I was leaving, you can see it's almost like you can see that
Dark hand coming over.
yes, like the
The death angel.
smog, the fog, the cold fog just on the road, and it's like surreal when you saw that whole thing,
It's
right?
creeping
And
up on
then
you.
yeah, and all of a sudden I'm driving and I can see where people slipped off the road. I saw emergency vehicles that slipped off the road, even fire trucks that slipped off the road and was in the gutter trying to find ways to get out. And I barely made it home. As a matter of fact, it was so much ice and snow that because of the hills of where I was, I had to like put my vehicle in neutral. I was like, Lord, just pray all the way down, and I slid down the hill.
Take the wheel. Take the wheel.
And next thing you know, I was jammed up, and there was some Gentiles on the side of the road helping people out, and they just came right behind my vehicle, give me two push, and that was it. And I was able to just scurry on home. But I barely made it into my place. And let me tell you, most of those people that didn't leave when they were supposed to, they got stuck. And it was hard for them to find even a hotel around the corner where the job was. And I'm telling you, when the Most High speak to you to make a move, make that move. You know, and also another thing too, don't procrastinate when it comes to gasoline. I don't care if you're traveling and the gasoline is $5 in front of you, and you say, well, I'm gonna wait till about 5 miles to get the $2 one. Take at least put a few dollars of the $5 one in you for security. Because when you think that you could find gas for $2 10 miles up the street or whatever it is, you might find a yellow bag over that thing. The pump might be empty or maybe backed up. You might be a whole lot of people trying to get the same gasoline.
A lot of
The point of the
ifs.
matter is, don't take risks. Don't be like the 5 foolish virgins that wait till last minute, because trust me, from experience, you are thinking I can get it cheaper, and by the time you find out, you're paying more money, you're stuck, and everything goes wrong from there. Make moves when you can.
Some Hebrews are still going to wait till last second. And I know some Hebrews that would say, Most High willing. And you look at them and says, the Most High is not going to help you, because every time you ask for help and he send the person to help you or to warn you, you sit back and you say, I'm going to wait. I have time. And then when stuff happens, now you want to turn and look for the Most High and says, well, the Most High is going to help you. He's not going to help you. Yes, Elder.
Yeah, when I was driving on the road, working around, I always, at the end of my day, before I go home, I go to the gas station, I fill my tank, I check my everything, and then I drive home and park. So I know in the morning when I get up, I check again, and then I move out. But it's always have to have a full tank, or at least a half of a tank, or 3/4. Don't go with a quarter tank or so, or hope tomorrow you might be able to find gas. Always fill your tank at evening. All praises.
All praises. All right, so build a disaster kit. Build a disaster kit and have it in your car. I have two. I have one at home and I have one in my vehicle. So if I'm at home and something happens, I can grab it. If I'm on the road, I have something I can grab it. Think about for the children too, for the babies. If you have little lights, or if you have elderly folks. Okay, let's move on here.
Yeah.
Prepare your children. Talk to your children about what the risks are. Again, that's just educating them, keeping them informed. And don't forget those with special needs. If you have a young one, a middle-aged one, an older one that has needs, they need a wheelchair or they need some type of a walker, crutches, canes, whatever they need. If they need some type of a device to help them breathe, dialysis, whatever they need, make sure you have those things set up so you can be able to maneuver around with them. And it says 3 days of food and water. Remember, we talked about the 3. We're gonna get into that here shortly to show you what it is about. Okay.
Before you move on, Brother Shay, that part where it says prepare your children, I want to extend it also to the adults, and I want to deal with this from a different perspective. Having the right attitude is so important.
Yeah.
If you have a child that has a very bad attitude, it makes a bad situation worse.
Worse. That's true.
If you have people with the wrong spirit, it makes a bad situation worse. I'm telling you, Mishpachah, please take my advice. Make sure you have the most positive spirit, even when things look dire, looks rough, like there's no way out. There's always a way out. You got to have the right spirit, faith, because what I realize is that there are too many professional Hebrew talkers, and that's just the upgraded version from the Christian talkers. The Hebrew talker is an upgraded version from that, right? They are very good at talking about the Bible and about being righteous and kind and all these different things until something happens, and then you really see the true spirit come out. And that's what I'm telling you. You got to have the right spirit, even if there's one slice of bread. Raise your hand to heaven and says, thank you, Father. We got 5 people here, 1 slice of bread. We all going to live. You know what I mean? But, that's all you got?
That's all they have.
Yeah. Why can't I get more? You know, I'm about 500 pounds. I need this. You know, it's the worst type of people to be around. They will turn. This is why in the military you got the buddy system, and you really got to know who you're dealing with. In a foxhole, you really got to know who you're dealing with, right? Who got your back? All right, Brother Shay, I think you were going to say something.
Oh, I was going to give you an example, but you did it already. Just because you have people that they are complainers and murmurers. Nothing new, Mishpachah. We saw it in our scrolls too. When the children of Israel were in the wilderness, I ain't got no leaks. I ain't have no more fish. It's too hot. Oh my goodness, it's too dusty out here. I sweating too much, and it goes on from the little one all the way up to the adult. Those people you don't want to be around.
Yeah, if you are a little pain in the butt, you're gonna grow up to be a big pain in the butt. Still a pain in the butt, and that's the type of people that you don't want around you. I've seen some people's children that don't know how to behave in front of other people. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They will make you, while you're trying to do something over here on the right side, they're doing something on the left. And when you take your eye off from the right to look at the left to correct them, something happens, an accident happens, you can lose your life. You never know. You don't want to have knuckleheads around you. Trust me when I say this, because I don't care how well equipped you are. You can have bulletproof food stacked up high. Everything's looking good. You got the wrong people around you with the wrong spirit. You might as well just give up everything. Just open the doors. Just say, come, take it all.
Come on in. All right, emergency preparedness kit for people with disabilities. And you see, you have stuff for your wheelchair, tire repair kits, eyeglass stuff, mobility cane walkers, folded cane, flashlights, batteries. Whistles are very good to have, okay? Batteries for your hearing equipment if you wear those. Stuff that people can read and write on if you can't speak, for example. A multi-tool is very, very good to have. And like I mentioned last week, a can opener. Always have a good can opener. Because you might have canned goods that you have or come up on canned goods and you don't have the right type of knife or one of those little military type can opener deals. But if you have a can opener, that will help you in a very good way.
Or just have a really good knife. Don't get one of them cheap Chinese knives that is only good for two cuts and that's it. Get a good knife. You know, let us walk around with a pretty good pocket knife. Yeah. So Anyway, scrap that.
Yeah.
Because what's going to happen is you're going to have one of those Israelites that's going to be they the Israelite himself is like a Swiss Army knife. He's going to want he's going to want a knife just for knifing, a can opener,
Yeah.
all these different things. But if you have one good tool, you can pretty much use it for a lot of different things. But
That's right.
if you're not trained, if you don't know how to use one or two items, tools, you're gonna go out and want to buy everything. Do you think I need a can opener? Maybe I need a little can opener for the little cans, and I need a big can opener for the bigger cans, and I need to have the light attached to the can. So you're buying all these gadgets. It's just overkill, and it's a waste of time. It's a lot of weight and it's a lot of money. It's a waste, family. It's a waste.
That's right. All right, let's move on because I got some videos to show in a little while. We talked about CPR, and I showed the videos last time. So when you get a chance, you can go back and look at the videos. And you can also go on YouTube, and you can learn how to do the CPRs. American Red Cross. You go down to the fire departments, FEMA also. Certain community colleges also would have different classes that they give. That will teach you these life-saving skills. The Heimlich maneuver, if somebody's choking, how to perform those life-saving acts, okay? What first aid skills should everyone know? Again, you have the cardiac arrest, the CPR, how to do CPR on infants to all the way up to adults. The AED, again, we talk about the defibrillator. That's on the walls of businesses and stuff. I mentioned last week that you can purchase them, but they're really expensive. But some sites, when you buy them, you have to have some type of a permit because they need to be inspected every year or 2 years or something like that. I'm not sure at the time. Either 6 months, a year, or 2 years that they need to be inspected and signed off on. But you can purchase them, but it's really expensive. If you let me do this now. Let's Google to see. So we can see AED. AED. Purchase. Let's see. See the price right there? Cheapest one is $500, five and change, up to $2,000. So if you a Hebrew that's packing and you want to have one of these, by all means, it's good to have one in your home or your vehicle. It will come in handy. But if you don't have that, you don't need it. But it's just to say, that's the price. I just want to show you so you can see how expensive it is. 5, 7, $2,000, 1,600, 1,500, 1,500, and there's a store for it. So you can do a little more research on that, and you can find out if you wanna get one of those for your family or for yourself. Okay. Let's see. Choking again, the Heimlich maneuver. Learn how to do that. That comes in very handy. You can do it on your own self. Stroke, recognizing a stroke. There are people out there that don't recognize what a stroke looks like, and teach the little children what it looks like, so they don't think that grandpa is playing or acting, or a mom is, goofing around, and then they're just watching you on the ground dying. So learn how to recognize the signs of these things so you can help save a family member. Severe bleeding, first aid tourniquets and hemostatic dressings. Learn how to use a tourniquet. They have the videos that will show you, and it will teach you how to write the time on it to know when you apply it so you can release pressure and different things. It'll tell you exactly where to apply this tourniquet. You see the picture with the guy over here, the lady, she's applying some type of a sling to keep your arm close to your body from it. If you have a broken arm, sprained, whatever, you know exactly how to treat it so it won't cause further damage. Burns and first aid, we're going to look at some burn stuff in a minute, and bites and stings, we're going to look at some of that in a minute. So bleeding, we talked about that. Read that for me. Most adults. I think you're muted.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Most adults can tolerate losing up to 14% of their blood volume without physical symptoms or deviations in their vital signs. The severity of hemorrhage is divided into a class system organized by the percent of blood volume loss. Up to 15% of blood volume loss classifies as a class 1 hemorrhage.
Mm-hmm. So class 1 hemorrhage, and if you look at the different classes, it'll tell you how much blood is spewing out. If you have a little, because understanding your body's anatomy, you can have a little tiny cut, and you would just come from running down the road, it's going to look like you have a big bleeder, and it's just a little cut because your heart's pumping, your adrenaline is going. If you're just sitting here, you get a little bump, it's just going ooze a little bit, and then it's going to stop naturally on itself because the body has the things to clot itself. The body has clotters in it for the most part. Some people have to take medication to help them do those things. But understanding how your body works and how the blood flows, you'll know exactly how to deal with blood flow if you're losing it. Down here, you see the pressure points that they'll tell you aren't between your shoulder and your elbow. Shoulder and elbow, pressure points. Your groin area along your bikini line, where is your femoral artery. And you can take your two fingers, not your thumb, because your thumb has a pulse of its own. You can take your two fingers and you can check your pulse on your radial or your wrist, right by your neck, right here. And you'll feel it beating. And between your femoral artery, and you'll see those points. And you can learn your heartbeat, you can learn your heart rate. If your blood pressure is too high, too low, those kind of things you can learn. If you run, say down the street, you can check it. Compared to when you're just walking down the street, you can check it. So you'll know the different elevation of your blood pressure and understand those things. Behind the knee is also another artery, the pupillary artery. All right, so here is the acronym for bleeding: RICE, rest, ice, compress, elevate. Rest, you want to rest for at least up to 48 hours. This is after you have fixed or stopped the bleeding. Okay, this is after you finish fixing the bleeding. You want to rest so it can start to heal. You want to ice it so it can cool it down and cause it to not constrict, because the heat causes it to swell. Your body sends warm blood to those areas, and because it's irritated, it gets hot in that area. Ice cools it down. Compression helps reduce the swelling. That's for C. And elevate is very important because your heart, you want to keep it above your heart where it doesn't allow the blood to keep rushing down there and causing more problems. Okay. All right, burns. There are all types of burns. You have chemical burns. You have electrical burns. You have burns from heat, like steam. You have burns from the sun. Go ahead and read this for me, Rebbe. Burns are tissue.
Burns are tissue damage from a variety of sources. Examples are hot liquids, the sun.
Like if you spill a coffee in your hand, you can get burned on hot water.
Flames, chemical, electricity, and steam. There's also wind burn too.
Yes, wind burn. Because if you can be out in the ocean or up in elevation and the wind is going and you're in that position for a while, your skin gets chafed, and you get basically wind burn.
Kitchen-related injuries from hot drinks, soups, and microwave foods are common among children. Major burns need emergency medical help. Minor burns can usually be treated with first aid kit.
So you have minor and major. And again, chemicals is like from like bleach or some type of acid or acetone or whatever it is. There's different things that can cause you chemically to be burned, and those are the worst ones. Electrical, of course, if you touch something electrical, you can be burned. And steam from something hot boiling that's coming up. So how to relieve burn pains? If you suffer a burn, get a cool pack, not an ice pack. Take an anti-inflammatory right away, like aspirin or ibuprofen. A hydrocortisone cream also reduces redness and swelling. Aloe, like I said last time, this is the first one. If you happen to have aloes or cactus or something like that pertaining to that family, it's very good to put on the burn area. It helps soothe and it also promotes healing naturally, okay? Grind up some oatmeal, milk, honey, and aloe vera gel as a paste. So that can also help soothe the area that is inflamed. And you can see the 1st degree, 2nd degree, or 3rd degree. And it's not good. Being burnt is not a nice thing, okay? I'm sure some of us has experienced that. And it's not nice when you get burnt. I remember when I was younger, I'm not going to call any names. I was watching somebody do some work, and their hand got caught afire. And my eyes were like, and there was a drum of water right there that they quickly doused their hand in the water. But they was doing something with some gasoline, and it went right up their hand, and they got burnt. All right, let's move on. All right, insect bites. Understand the types of insects that live in your area. It's all part of nature. And when you're going out into the wild or places that haven't been disturbed by humans, by you or the family, for some time, nature takes over. I was at work the other day, and the guy, he was moving some stuff, and there was a black widow sitting right there. And I had to tell him, hey, watch out. He's like, oh, he was about to grab the piece of wood that was on the ground. And spiders just like cool, dark places. You have scorpions, you have snakes, you have centipedes, millipedes. There's different insects that bite. So understand where you live and what is in your area. Then you have these flying things called wasps, yellow jackets, hornets, ants, honeybees, etc. So this one here tells you which insects has stung you, so you'll know if you got stung. Honeybees, if you got stung, they will leave their stinger behind, and they only sting you when the hive has been threatened. So if you're out in your garden and you have your flowers and stuff, and you're planting your plants and stuff, and you happen to see some honeybees flying around, they will not attack you because they're out foraging. Their main goal is to go get nectar and pollen and different things and bring it back to the hive. Now, if you walk close to the hive now and you're in the area of the hive, then they would be alerted, and if you disturb the hive, that's when they will all come swarming out to get you. Now that's honeybees. Wasps is a little different. Yellow jackets and hornets, they're all different. If they're in the area and you see them, sometimes if you get in their way, they'll try to attack you. This is where you have to understand the difference between the yellow jackets. There are many names for them, so know which ones you're dealing with. Some are 2 inches big, some are an inch, some are half an inch. It just depends on which ones you're dealing with. Some live in the ground, and they'll come out swarming and they'll attack you. Ants also. You may step into an ant's nest. If you see those things, know your surroundings. Be aware of your surroundings. Sometimes you may not be paying attention. You step back and ants start crawling up your pant leg or your shoes or something, and then you start getting some juicy bites. Yeah. Allergic reaction. We talked about this last week, and we showed how the EpiPen look. So it is good if you can have one in your backpack or your in your vehicles or in your homes. You see the prices here; they're expensive, but if you can afford it, if you can save some shekels to get one, get two. It's very good to have. It really works. It will give you a boost of an adrenaline real quick that would help your body counter the allergic reaction that it's happening. So what happens is your body starts to close up because you get stung or bitten, and if you have an allergic reaction to that, your airway starts to shut down. You can't breathe good. You can't see sometimes. Everything starts to get tight. The EpiPen quickly opens all that back up, so you can breathe properly, you can think, you can flow, you can function, and you can get out of the situation. Benadryl and some other medication can help, but it may take a little time to kick in, maybe 20, 30 minutes to kick in, whereas EpiPen is instant, okay? So that's something good to have. I showed one last time, but when you get a chance, you can Google it, get it on Amazon, look around and see where the cheapest place you can get one. If you have insurance, sometimes the insurance can cover it and have them. Insect bites continuing. The snake bites over here, you see. Back away from snakes when you see them. Know exactly the time it happened. Call 911 or call for help. If there's no 911 available, call for help. Someone else can help you and assist you and get out of that area and get to a safe place. Spider bites is the same thing. This is a black widow. Brown recluse. Now, brown recluse, what it does is when it bites you, it starts to happen. It starts to necrose that area, so that flesh area starts to die in a spiral, and it goes out sometimes as big as a tennis ball. Sometimes that big. That area will start to die out. And
you probably should pull up something for them to see, because that's a serious thing. It rottens your flesh. It rottens your flesh, brethren.
Let's see.
That spider bite is no joke. It rottens your flesh. So you got to look out for this thing. I don't ask spiders any questions. I don't trust whether it's a little one or a big one. I don't trust any of them. I don't trust snakes. I don't care if it's a little one or big one. I don't ask them questions. Are you going to bite me or whatever? They got to go. That's it.
See how this one is right here? It starts to, the flesh around it dies out. And then after it dies out, it gets rotten, and then you're left with a hole in your flesh if it's not treated with right away. Yes, Elder.
Another thing, Shalom family, they got people that don't like to shake their clothes before they put it on. Make sure when you take up your clothes that wherever it is, shake it. Spiders, centipedes, anything could be inside there. Your shoes, likewise, don't just push your foot in the shoes. Something could be in there and will bite you, especially when you squeeze it. Your foot get on it and it squeeze, it will bite you. So be careful.
That's right, Elder. That's good. Thank you.
So it has a violin-shaped head. If you're trying to figure out how a brown recluse look, it has a violin-shaped head right like this right here. Marks on the back. Legs are solid or one solid light color with no spine. It has 6 eyes set in 3 pairs.
You think the Mishpachah is gonna remember all of that when they see a spider?
I'm just saying that they hear it, they know what to look for. Let me look for black widow now. Let's see, black widow.
Yeah, but those bites are some serious stuff. You need to go on YouTube and take a look at some actual videos of that.
And you can see how dangerous it is, okay? I do have a video here on a snake bite. Let me pull this one up here. Let's see. Where is it at? Wait a minute. What? Okay, for some reason it doesn't.
While you're doing that, Brother Shay, I was looking at the news again, family, and they were talking about, I think it's the Bronx, that has a high number of dementia over there. I think it's the Bronx. One of those places in New York. Bronx is now the dementia capital of America. And one of the things that they mention in the article, I'll post a link that you can check it out for yourself, is it all ties in with the foods that is being eaten. Okay, the food that's been eaten. So I'll post it in the chat so you can take a look at that.
Okay, 1 second. Let me pull this up. Okay, so this is right here. This is one. Spider bites. So black widows are all over the United States. So if you to the tip, top in the corner in the right or the left or down in the bottom, crevice or crack, black widows are all over the United States, even in Canada and South America. I'm not sure about Africa. Maybe. We'll look to see. Brown recluse are in this location here because they like wet, moist places. Most common. So it says sometimes 1 to 2 bite marks from a black widow, redness and swelling from the site about 30 minutes later. So it swells up. And if you have now, not everybody is allergic, but you don't know. If you don't know if you're allergic, there are tests that you can take to know if you're allergic to whatever it is. You don't want to wait to find out. But some people can get 500 bee stings and nothing happened to them. Some people pass by the beehive and they didn't get bitten and they swell up. So it just depends on who you are. Okay. The brown recluse here says formation of a blister surrounds by a bruised or red area. So you have this big blister that pops up, and that is because of the skin and the flesh in that area is decaying. Okay. All right. So the blister then fills up with blood and ruptures. An open sore forms, followed by thick black scar. That's the dead flesh. There is no sure fire way to identify a spider just by its bite mark. Many people mistake skin infections or other disorders for spider bites. So you never know what it is. So when you deal with a black widow, it says you have sharp pains followed by a duller pain, cramping in the abdomen, shoulders, back, and chest. So you start to ache all over. Possible nausea, vomiting, sweating. Okay. Restlessness, anxiety, headaches, breathing problems, and muscle weakness. So it depends on your allergic reaction. And your severity of it varies from person to person, okay? And age to age. If you're older in age, it will affect you bad. If you're younger in age, it'll affect you bad. If you're somewhere in your strength, your strong years, it may not affect you so much. But so this one has little to no immediate pain. So you might not even know you get bitten. An hour later, you're like, wait a minute, what happened? You start itching that area, you feel nauseated, vomiting, fatigue, you get the cold sweats. Okay? So this is how you clean the widow's bite. Clean the wound, revealing symptoms, and sometimes give anti-venom. So you may have a place to go get anti-venom. So he says hospitalization is usually required for people younger than 16 or older than 60. That's what I was saying. If you're younger age, it would affect you more. If you're older, it would definitely affect you more. But if you're in between, in your youthful years, strong, in your younger adult ages, you will handle it a little more better. Unless you have a medical problem, okay? Sometimes you need surgery for this one because you have to cut that area out. Because what happens is that venom that's in it, it continues to spread. Yeah. And the hole can can get as big as a tennis ball, and sometimes deep as an inch, 2 inches in. So you're losing a whole amount of area on your arm or your foot or wherever. All right, so that's that for that video. All right, let me find the snake one I had. Let's see. Snake bites is the one I had here. Let's see the one I had. Was it this one? Yeah, this one here.
When a snake bites you, the muscles around their venom glands tighten, and this squeezes venom through the fangs and into your body. It immediately starts to break.
Now, you have two types of snakes. You have the ones that are venomous, and then you have those that are not venomous. The ones that are venomous, this is what it's referring to. It can bite you and inject the venom into you. The ones that are not venomous will just bite you, or they can constrict you, depends on which one you're dealing with, okay? But this one here, let me start it back over again. All right, see the guy's walking up to the snake. He didn't see it. And usually that's what happens. You're walking in the presence of this animal.
When a snake bites you, the muscles around their venom glands tighten, and this squeezes venom through the fangs and into your body. It immediately starts to break down tissues, causing pain and swelling. But some snakes have venom that targets nerves and blocks communication.
See, so that can disrupt you from breathing. Sometimes you disrupt your heart rate from beating. Depends, again, age, health, all those things factor in on what you will experience.
Which can result in paralysis. And if the venom reaches the muscle around your lungs, it can be fatal. When a snake bites you, the muscles around their venom gland...
It just repeats itself. All right, so that is that for that one. Let me see what else I had. All right, let's move on. I got some other videos I want to share, some good ones. Hope everyone is doing well in the chat. Y'all doing okay so far? Everyone's doing okay? You're not asleep, right? Ain't nobody sleeping watching something else? I don't know. You know some Hebrews already. They get the squirrel. Something else more entertaining. Unless you want me to talk about the mac and cheese.
The mac and cheese.
All right. So you have non-poisonous spiders that will just bite you, okay? And it hurts. I've gotten bitten by some of these spiders before. You could just be walking under a tree and you're brushing, you didn't see the web, and it can just bite you through your clothing too. And you're like, what is that? So it can happen. Okay, just be aware of your surroundings. The right clothing. So we talk about the clothing now. We talked about the Most High giving the clothing to Adam and Eve when they came out of the garden. So let's read Genesis 3, verse 7, when they did it themselves first. And then verses 21, we're going to see the Most High made clothes for them. Go ahead. Genesis 3, verse 7, verse 10, and verse 21.
And the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. Verses 10, and he said, I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. Verse 21, unto Adam also and to his wife did Yahweh Elohim make coats of skin and clothe them.
So understanding that we need clothes. Your clothing is your primary shelter. That's your first shelter and first line of defense against the elements. So unless you're some hairy, hard-back, gorilla-looking person, that you're going to need some clothes on your body to cover from the elements. The sun is baking down, you want some shade. The wind is blowing too much, you want to cover. You want to block the wind out. If it's too cold, if it's too wet. So there has to be a balance for your body to operate within a certain temperature. So clothes, having the right clothing in the right environment, it helps you to survive out in the wilderness, in the world. Okay, you don't want to pack shorts and then a blizzard comes down. What you gonna do? Or you don't want to have big, thick, woolly clothing and it's hot. Is 100 degrees outside down in Arizona.
Don't put too much tight clothes on you either.
Ella said, don't put on too much tight clothing. Your body needs to breathe. All right, so let's read this, Rebbe. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
It says protection from the elements. Clothing protects the body from environmental factors such as extreme temperatures, rain, snow, wind, and sun. For example, cold weather. Insulated clothing prevents hypothermia.
Now, how many of you ever experienced hyperthermic chills before? When the gums are just chattering. You're just shivering. You can't get warm. You know, you're just rubbing yourself. You're like, man, it's so cold.
What's going on?
That your body you start to look a little pale. All right, continue.
It says hot weather, lightweight, breathable fabrics help regulate body temperature and protect against sunburn.
And if it's so hot that you take off everything, you're still hot. You're like, man, it's so humid. You drink water, you just imagine what Jonah went through. You just lay out in the tree, he says, I'm just ready to die. And the Most had to cause a vine to come up over him to give him a little shade, a little relief. Okay? Sometimes when it's so hot, you got to wet a towel. Back in the day, you had the AC. You wet a towel, you put it on the bed, you lay on that towel. You open the window. If you was lucky to have a fan, you have a fan. Or you get a piece of cardboard or something, you find it yourself. You're like, man, it's hot. All right, injury prevention.
Clothes can safeguard against cuts, abrasions, and insect bites. For instance, wearing long sleeves and pants while hiking can protect against thorny plants and insects.
Yeah, you don't want to have no cheap clothes now. And you walk in and then you get caught on something and it rips. Then you're exposed to whatever is out there, insect bites, plants, thorns, stuff scraping against your skin.
And also keep in mind, especially for our sisters, whether you're in the field or you're doing gardening and stuff, just remember if you're going to wear something like a long dress, long, clothing, skirt or whatever, insects have a way of finding a way underneath those things too. Because it's cooler. Sometimes if you're standing still, they will crawl underneath. I remember Ellen and I was doing some work at this person's home. It was a Hebrew. I don't think they were awakened. But anyway, I don't know if Ella remember. Doing some work. There was like a kennel. They had dogs, a kennel close by or something like that. When I got home, I realized there was an addition to my family on me. We call it ticks. Mm-hmm. Ticks. And I had to use a hot edge of a blade to remove that thing. Right? So if you're standing still in a certain place, they have a tendency of hopping a ride. So keep that in mind. You want to make sure that you dress according to the conditions that you're going to be in. If you're in a place that's grassy, you try to keep it moving as fast as you can, or you secure your body as much as possible, because there are little things out there. Ticks is a nuisance, and they like to go into places.
Yep.
What else, Brother Shay? What he said?
It's fleas. There's a whole bunch of different insects that can get on you.
Yeah. And that's basically it.
All right, health considerations.
Says clothing can help prevent health issues related to exposure. For example, wearing protective gear in hazardous environments like construction sites is essential for safety.
So, if you're working on stuff, you have to wear eye protection, hearing protection, gloves if you're dealing with chopping wood or moving heavy objects, goggles if it's sandy outside in the survival sense I'm talking here, wind blowing. You have ear protection, the proper type of wind, wind breakers, safety boots, and yes, the gloves. So it's a lot of different things that you can have. On a construction site, you're going to have things that dealing with working with tools, high vest area, goggles, glasses, ear protection, gloves, boots, steel toes, etc. Hard hats, yeah. All right, cultural and social factors.
Clothing serves important social functions, including identity expression. Same thing we were talking about earlier, remember?
Mm-hmm.
Cultural representation and social norms. It can affect interpersonal excuse me, let me read it again. It can affect interpersonal interreactions and societal acceptance.
Yeah, so in a survival situation, you don't want to stand out as the odd ball or the odd person there. Like, oh, that person looks weak, because the enemy looks for the weakest person or the easiest person to attack. They're not going to go to the strong brother or a pack of sisters, but they'll go rather to the individual that looks feeble, older person, a younger person, and they would. And if you're wearing certain things that attracts them, that says, "Come on, come to me." If you leave your backpack unattended, if you're not paying attention to your surroundings, things happen. This is what they're talking about. Psychological comfort.
Being clothed can contribute to a sense of security and comfort, impacting mental well-being. In many cultures, nudity can be associated with vulnerability or discomfort.
And that's what they used to do in the arenas. They would put you naked so you're uncomfortable because you're worrying about getting hit, scraped, cut, and all the different things. So imagine if you're well equipped, you have all equipment on, and you're ready to go fight. You feel protected. But if you're naked, you're worrying about getting hit, bruised, cut easier than if you have the proper clothing on. And it doesn't have to be a fight. It's just walking through the bushes. You watch that stupid show, Naked and Afraid. It's like, really?
Yeah.
People have their butts out scraping alongside stuff, and
but I think it's also important that people learn how to adjust in that type of environment. You never know when you might come, where you may be exposed like that, right? As an Israelite, who knows what could happen, but you got to learn how to separate you from yourself. I don't know if that makes any sense. Where you don't make that so much an issue that you can't function. You see, the whole point of this class that we're doing right now is about you staying alive. You staying alive. If you are so mentally concerned about the way you look, you're being nude or whatever the case may be in an emergency, you're not going to make it. You have to learn how to separate that from the other, because it's a condition or situation that you're going through at that particular time. Who cares what people think? The point is that you want to stay alive. You want to make sure that whatever has to be done, that you're able to come out on the positive side of things. So in the military, sometimes training is you got to strip down into your drawers, your underwear, and you got to be out in frigid climates. Or you have to, be in an awkward position, because you gotta try to break, like a fever. You gotta pass that stage of feeling insecure, so that you can be able to achieve, survival.
Mm-hmm. Yep, learn how to function under those conditions. All right, continue with the clothing. You see, for example, you have the desert. How this person has something covering their face from getting windburn, sunburn, the dust, the proper hat that blocks the sunlight, long sleeve. He has certain type of pants that he can unzip if he wants to get cooler, type of boots that is breathable. And this is called a gator neck around his face. And then his backpack with his water, straw that comes, his tubing that comes up so you can drink. And there's more. Over here for the cold, you have a windbreaker that blocks the wind and it also keeps you insulated. You have your warm woolly cap underneath. You have gloves on, snow mittens over here. This is waterproof type clothing that wicks off the snow or if it's rainy. Same thing with the boots and snow. So understanding which one to wear, you want to have somewhat of things that can blend. If you live in a colder climate, you want to definitely have stuff that, especially if it's that time of the season, that you can have proper clothing to stay warm if you're cold. If you live in a dry area like in out in the desert somewhere, you want to have the proper clothing that keeps you cool. Okay, so understanding those things helps along the way. All right, here's the power of 3. Remember we talked about 3? Let's read 1 Samuel chapter 30 verses 12.
It says, and they gave him a piece of cake of figs and 2 clusters of raisins.
That's dried up grapes.
Mm-hmm. And when he had eaten, his spirit came again to him. For he had eaten no bread, nor drunk any water.
He was thirsty.
3 days and 3 nights.
3 days and 3 nights. Let's look at Jonah 1 and verse 17.
Now you all had prepared a great fish to swallow up Jonah. And Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights.
And there are more examples of the 3 days and 3 nights. But let's go over here and see what the wilderness survival. Some of you will probably die. That's what it says. But let's look at the 3. Can y'all see that good? Right here. It says 3 minutes without oxygen. So you can survive as an individual 3 minutes without oxygen before you actually deceased or you take the long dirt nap. 3 hours without shelter in an extreme environment. Okay, if you don't have shelter, let's say it's pouring rain like the monsoon, you can survive 3 hours without shelter, because after a couple hours in that, your body starts to go into hyperthermic behavior and you start to shiver. Before you know it, you can't control, you can't build body heat, you can't get warm, your body goes into shock, and then you end up taking that long dirt nap. Or if it's too cold, 3 hours you can survive in the cold before you actually, now it depends on which level of cold. If you're out in let's say Antarctica or somewhere, which you shouldn't be out there, but Hebrews are scattered everywhere. We don't know why they'll be out there, but 3 hours, okay? 3 days without any water or liquid. So this is why it says in Samuel, he was 3 days and 3 nights. His spirit came again because he hasn't eaten. So when he was so parched, when he had a little water, when you're so thirsty, drink that water, you feel it going all through your body. It's like going down, and it goes all down to your stomach. You can feel it. You're like, oh man, this is so good. It's that feeling of sensation, like, oh man, life. And then 3 weeks without food and nutrition without any sort. So you can go 3 days without water. After the 3rd day, you'll take that long dirt nap. 3 weeks, you can survive without food. Your body will start to eat itself. But you can come back. So this is the power of 3, okay? All right, environment. Knowing your environment is key. I'll say it again. Knowing where you live is key. This will help you decide on how you will survive. Understanding the terrain, meaning if you live in a muddy area, a wet area, a dry area, a rocky area, a sandy area, a wooded area, mountainous, valley, on the beach, in the city, whatever area, terrain, it helps you better navigate, know how to get through it, okay? Picking the right spot to set up your shelter is also very important. Now, you don't want to set up your shelter where it's in a direct wind, or there's water can easily come in there and wash everything away, or there's no security around where animals can come in and pick you off real easy. You want to be able to put the shelter in the right place. And I'm going to show you some videos here in a minute. So protecting you from the elements and weather with the proper security from other people or animals, because you're thinking animals can come in and pick you off, or other individual people can come in and pick you off if you don't have the shelter set up in such a way where you can physically see your security. You don't want you know, some people set up a tent and they're not thinking, oh, this is perfect. And there's a widow maker right over your tent. For those of you who don't know what a widow maker is, it's a tree that's dead. It's just standing. And a little gust of wind come and you sleep in the middle of the night and that tree fall right on top of you. Dead. These are things that you have to pay attention to. All right, so let's look at a video. How did this get like this? Why this thing jumping? All right, let's look at a video. Let's see which one I want to go with first. All right, let's go with this one here. This is a video. Take a time and look at this. It's 17 minutes. We're going to go through it and learn some things, okay? Now, there are many other videos out there, but this one has 5 examples of shelters, which was pretty good. And you don't have to do it quite this way, but this is some examples, okay? Fair use, fair use. See what she's doing?
That feels very comfortable, actually.
Now, this is an emergency situation. Now, you're not just going to lay in a pile of leaves because you don't know what insects are there.
I was just about to say that. we talked about the widows and the recluse,
all that stuff. Yeah.
And the snakes. Snakes love to be in piles of leaves and stuff like that. So, I mean, that is an extreme emergency. It's cold when you know the recluse and the snakes already done hibernating somewhere. You know what I mean? This is not summertime pile of leaves thing, Mishpachah.
No,
somebody might go out there and try and make a pile when it's hot summer and the snakes is just moving around. This is during late fall, early winter. Okay.
Yeah. Because if a Hebrew does this, you hear 911. What's your emergency?
Black Hebrew.
So she's putting she's dressing it up. Again, this one is just for I guess concealing yourself and keeping warm.
Now another thing too is trying to break stuff without gloves in the hand can be kind of chancy when you're coming from a city slicker, as they say, because they got that Western music playing, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean what she's doing is cool, but just keep in mind also protecting your hands.
When entering the shelter, go with your feet first and be very careful to not destroy the structure of the shelter. Obviously, I had to leave open the entry to the shelter, and to close it in the night, just take some more leaves and pull them inside of your shelter. Okay, I just covered myself with leaves, just like a blanket, and leaves make a very good insulation material. And right now I'm already feeling that it's getting very warm inside of the shelter. When building natural shelters, it really comes down to 3 rules, and the first rule is insulation from the cold ground. Secondly, you want to watch out that you have enough of cover to keep out cold winds. And thirdly, you want to have a good cover on the top, which is going to keep out
Again,
the
that's
rain.
if it's cold. This is for cold weather. Let's look at another one now.
That was a good video. That was a good one, though.
This is a lean-to. Make it easy upon yourself. You don't want to just have to do stuff with nothing. Like I said, there are many videos out there that you can take your time with your family. You can look at and you can go practice. Practice making some of these. Let's fast forward a little bit. You can see her moving. Put it together. It's getting hot.
Just keep in mind what she's wearing. Notice she got the wool hat on her head. She got the boots. She got the right clothing.
See how she made a point before pounding it down? That is for wind block, blocking the wind, and also a sense of security. You can make walls like this if you want to put up a wall.
Or you can use vines if there are vines available to do that too. Or you can find like a wishbone branch or something to get the same effect.
This one is for heating the floor. If you out and it's cold and the floor is icy or cold, this is how you make the ground a little warmer or insulated. Well, what she's doing, she's making a channel. No, heat. The heat's going to travel under there, and heat is going to travel under the stone, and then you have heated floors. So this was the heated floors before the actual heated floors that you buy at Home Depot or Lowe's.
That's if you can find slate.
Yeah, slate, rocks. This is if you're gonna be there for a while, Mishpachar. If you're out there, you're gonna be in this spot here for a couple weeks to a month, and it's winter time, and you gotta bunker down and survive. You do stuff like this. Yeah, so she's building her shelter still, lean-to. See what she did? You got the bark off the tree and the moss. All right, this is a dome-shaped survival hut. Sister, you girl, you said the bear that we saw earlier would chase you out of there. That's why fire is essential. Fire is essential. All right, this is if you have a big family, 12 tribes. You're just making a dome shape, so you're gonna tie it all together. Keep them stacked. Let's fast forward a little bit so you can see it.
Yeah, that country music was getting to me.
Making you fall asleep there a little bit, Rebbe?
No.
Set the mood. See how she's doing it? Now, is this one too hard to build, Mishpachar? Can y'all do this? Put a 1 if y'all can do this. Put a 2 if you can.
2 days later. 2 days later.
Mr. Marvis? That's right.
It's all pine, so that you know it's gonna smell good up in there.
Yep, and insects don't like the pine too.
Yeah, and plus the pine, plus it'll also help mask the scent.
Yep. And you see how she's putting it down so the water runs down and doesn't come in?
That's probably way better than the leaves.
The leaves one, yeah. Well, that's if you have pine in the area. You may be in an area that don't have no pine.
Yeah.
So this is where you get to know your environment. I guess for our Feast of Booths, we're gonna have some pine huts, right?
Yeah, that might be a nice little challenge.
All snug and warm.
Not quite.
All right, this one is an enclosed lean-to shelter with emergency blanket. So she's gonna show you. If all you have is an emergency blanket, let me fast forward a little bit. All right, so right here, you're gonna put some pine down so you can sit off the ground. You never want to be on the bare ground because you will lose heat fast that way. So you can make a bed with that. And then she's making a little lean-to right here with the Y. Remember you talk about that Y, Rebbe?
Yeah, but I was talking about more of like a wishbone, much bigger one to put the wood in between.
Yeah.
Put the Y upside down.
Yeah.
To block the wind.
You can use a tarp. You can use a blanket. Different things like that. You can pull it down, tighten that real good. See, that'll keep the wind off of you and the elements from off of you. Trust me, it'll be better than nothing. Yeah. And cover it up with all the different spruces. All right, let's fast forward a little bit more. All right, so she's in there. See her right in here.
Makes a lot of sense when you're looking at the video from your nice, comfortable living space, right? Yeah, I can do that. I can do that until
it's too
hot. Piece of tabernacles.
Mosquitoes. Okay, this is your airframe, TP airframe type deal. Now make sure you tie this good because you don't want to, in the middle of the night, it falls down and clumps you in your head. It'd be nice to have a competition to see if we can have the Mishpachah line up and do some stuff like this. This would be nice. Let's fast forward a little bit. Okay, so you see how she's doing it? She's putting and then she's gonna pack it with moss, insulate it, cover it, keep it hidden, and prevent airflow from coming in like that. The cold breeze.
If you had access to mud will be good. Mud and the moss will definitely be. Too. And then you make a little fire on the inside.
And it hardens.
Yeah. That's a good one.
You make a bed.
He's putting in some work.
Yeah. Now, again, you have to know what type of shelter you're gonna make, how long you're gonna be there for. You're not gonna make this just for one night, Mr. McCaw. No, I'm just saying, if you know you're just passing through, it's an emergency, you're not gonna build this up. If you know you're gonna be there for some weeks.
Looks like she's building an Airbnb.
Yeah.
Building an Airbnb.
Putting that nice bed down. Let's fast forward. So she's making a platform to be off the ground. Now I have a question. How many of y'all would have a house like this permanent for Shalom life? So I'm living off the grid. I don't want to be connected.
Nah,
Can y'all do that?
No,
put a 1 if yes, or put a 2 no.
That's if you're a Viking, a Hebrew living among the Vikings, or something like that.
All right.
No, Mishpachah, not Brother Yonah, not permanent.
It's looking good. Fast forward. And that's nice how she did it.
One of the things that is important, Mr. Picard, that a lot of people tend to forget about is the ash. The ash from the campfire is very, very important to keep insects away off your body. You can definitely make it into a paste. Keep yourself clean. The charcoal, the ash charcoal from the fire is very, very good, to put around you. That's why chickens and birds tend to bathe themselves in dust, because it helps to keep insects
Bugs
off
away.
of them.
Yeah. Here's a little video about the fire stuff. Now, this is very good to a very good skill to learn. All right, fair use.
A few reasons why you want to keep a pencil sharpener in your survival pack. A lot of them are made of magnesium, and that's the kind you want. I'm scraping fine shavings off of it with the back of my knife. Then I'll ignite these with a spark. Magnesium dust burns extremely hot at over 4,000 degrees. Now I'm going to grab some dry sticks. Then I'll stick them in the sharpener like I would a pencil, making a bunch of shavings. It's a really quick and easy way to make lots of dry tinder
Very smart,
for getting
see?
a fire started.
Yeah, that's a
It's
good one.
option for if you don't feel like making feather sticks. Then you're left with a bunch of sticks that have very sharp points, and these can be used as mini spears, like for frog gigging.
What?
Just imagine if that was a
Well,
frog.
that's the heathen. The heathen's gonna look for frogs and stuff. But we'll use it for fishing. Skewers. If you catch some quails or some doves or something like that, clean animals, fish, or if you're trying to defend yourself.
Or a squirrel. So to get a fire started, I would make my shavings, then combine them with all the dry tinder. Then I'll give it a spark with my ferro rod. The magnesium will spark very hot and then ignite the tinder.
That's one video. There's another video that showed you do the same thing. So you can get get your drill. You can get a stick. You can put it in a drill, tighten it. You get the pencil sharpener, and you screw it, and it goes all the way in, and you get all these shavings. Then you get a can. You stuff it in the can. Well, you put some in the can. You get some wax, hot wax. You melt it, and you just make layers. And then you can use that as a stove.
Okay.
You can use it also as let me see if I can find a video real quick. All right,
Now so what he showed was the metal sharpener, not those plastic things, but this is
Right.
all metal.
This is right
and they're
there.
all made of magnesium.
Yeah, this one is made of magnesium.
Okay.
See right there? Made in Germany. The brand is KUM. Magnesium right here. If you I look for it on Amazon, you can probably find it. Let me play another video, and then I'll look for the other video while I play this other video. Let's see. All right, this one is about campfires. So let me pull this over here a minute and look for the video. I'm going to play this one. All right,
Our first fire is the teepee fire light. It's one of the fastest and easiest fires to build. It gives off nice high flames, so if you're sitting above the fire level, you'll feel that warmth, and is incredibly easy to maintain. Here's how to make it. We start by building a tinder bundle, which for me consists of birch bark and toothpick-sized twigs. Slicing thin curls on a stick like this is called feathering, and makes some great kindling for the heart of your fire. To make the main structure, you just balance sticks up against one another, just kind of lean them in a teepee shape, and that's really all there is to it. Just make sure there's enough spacing for ventilation, or else your fire's going to smother out before it catches on. Light this one from the bottom up, that heat is going to rise, and ignite this one actually really quick. I started an official timer at this point to compare all three of the fires. I wanted to look at how long it really took to get going, when maintenance was required, when did the fire collapse down, and the quality of cooking coals or a water boil test. So taking a look at the thermal camera now, we could really see how this fire contains the heat to the center and
pause it a minute. Let me open this one here a minute and pause it 1 second.
I'll put this stick into the drill, then shave it down.
All right, pause that video. All right, I'll bring this back over here. When we're ready for it, we will be ready.
So I posted some links in the chat for you all to check out with the sharpness and all that stuff, okay? It's straight to Amazon.
It's like a protection from the elements as it builds up. But there's a trade-off. That tinder bundle in the middle is so protected that it may burn out entirely before the fire fully catches on. Under the thermal camera, we could see that the heat is there and it is building. But this is a point where a campfire like this requires a bit of maintenance, but it's not much, just a little bit of rearranging and maybe a few more pieces of kindling to really get it going. So our initial maintenance on this fire is at about 7 minutes in. And we could see as this fire grows, that heat is going vertical, which is really good if you're sitting up higher, like on a chair or a log, and you want to feel that heat fast. At this point, I headed down to the water to wet one of my big wool socks to see just how well each of the fires would do at drying them out. And when I got back, this fire was really rocking, so we can safely say it was fully involved at about 10 minutes. And with the thermal overlay, we can now see that heat is being produced in pretty much every direction. And now at 14 minutes and 45 seconds, we have our collapse. Now, one thing to note here, though it didn't actually happen in this example, sometimes when a teepee fire does collapse, it'll smother itself completely out. So just something to watch for. Now I apologize in advance, but the temperature you're about to see here is in degrees Celsius. So if you don't quite know the conversion, don't worry, you can still see the relative heat distribution. So the back of the rocks are fairly cold, but the front are really starting to absorb some heat, especially up high. With this type of fire, the ground level is not going to be as hot as the higher levels, and the wool sock is going to absorb heat the fastest, and it looks to be drying off nicely. At about 24 minutes of burn time, we've reached some really good cooking coals. So to test their quality, I filled up about 2 cups of water in a titanium pot and set it directly on those coals. With a good amount of heat still condensed in that center, it took exactly 7 minutes and 30 seconds for the 2 cups of water to boil. I pulled the sock off as well, and it seemed pretty dry, so I was pretty happy with it. So I'll save my thoughts on this fire until we can see how the other two compare. But I'll first show you what steps I took to make this as fair of a comparison as I can manage. I first harvested all the wood from the exact same tree. Then I split.
And one thing I always tell people, when you get to a campsite, let's say you're in a survival situation and you're out there. As soon as you get out there, start collecting wood. Don't wait till last minute. A lot of people would do stuff and then look around, the wood gets wet because it rained or whatever it is. While you have energy, daylight, and all that stuff, you want to start collecting branches, dry branches from on top, looking for dry brush, twigs, different things that are dry. So you can start collecting to make fire. See how he's cutting the wood from trees that are not wet?
All the logs into as equal sized pieces as I could manage, divvied them up into 3 equal piles. I then weighed the piles, added exactly 1 pack pouch worth of birch bark for each one, and even used a moisture meter to make sure the moisture content was pretty even for each of the stacks. Okay, so the next fire we're taking a look at is called the log cabin fire. It's known to be smooth and steady without any large collapses, has a very even heat distribution, and requires a little bit less maintenance. All reasons why this might be the second most popular fire lay out there, and is only slightly more difficult to master than the teepee fire. Here's how to make it. Start with your tinder bundle in the middle, exactly the same as how we made the teepee fire. Stack a bit of kindling on there just to make sure there's going to be fuel in the middle to get the whole thing going. Now we're going to form the structure, which is a base of 4 fuel logs, and you're just going to keep building up and up, stacking just like you would a log cabin, and every layer up is going to be closer and closer to the center. Now, similar to the teepee fire, we're lighting this one from the bottom up. You might find it's a little bit harder to light just because the log cabin frame itself is kind of a barrier from getting that flame into the tinder bundle. As that fire starts going, we could use a time lapse to see how that fire actually spreads. That tinder bundle in the middle has fully engulfed into flames, and now that heat is spreading equally in every direction. Now that we're approaching the 7-minute mark, we could actually see that just like the teepee fire, that center tinder bundle is burned out almost completely. However, because the log cabin fire has this large base at the top, embers, coals, and fuel are going to be constantly falling down, keeping the fire going so you don't have to maintain it at this point. So at around 8 minutes and 30 seconds, this fire is ripping pretty good. And using the thermal, we could see exactly how the heat is distributed in a pretty even way. The wet sock comes in at around the 10-minute mark, and after no time at all, it's heated up to a significant temperature that we didn't really see with the teepee fire. Now this is primarily because the log cabin fire is keeping the heat lower, whereas the teepee fire disperses that heat in a more vertical fashion. At just shy of 14 minutes, we see our first thing that resembles a collapse, which is just a minute shy but still in the same realm as when the teepee fire collapsed. Now just a note here, the log cabin fire is the one you want to choose if you have kind of an open fire pit or you're using it in a fireplace, just because the teepee fire is prone to sudden collapse and that could end up in a log rolling away. With the log cabin fire, you don't experience that. At about 17 minutes in, my first bout of maintenance is required as the fire is at risk of going out. It doesn't require much, I don't need to add anything to it. I'm just going to gather all the embers into one spot because the outside of the fuel logs aren't really burning. So the teepee fire required some maintenance at around the 7-minute mark and then a little bit more throughout the duration of its burn, whereas the log cabin fire only needed maintenance once at around the 17-minute mark.
Yep.
And now, at almost the exact same time as the teepee fire, we have at 24 minutes some beautiful cooking coals. So we add our 2 cups of water, and right at pretty much the same time for the log cabin and teepee fire, 7 minutes and 30 seconds, the water has boiled. And the sock test results in the sock being a little bit more dry than the teepee fire, though it's not that noticeable. So I'll save my thoughts on this one too until we look at the third fire, which is one of my personal favorites. It's the upside down or reverse fire lay, which is a more advanced and lesser known fire because it takes some patience and practice skill to really get it going. But the trade-off is that once it does get going, there is little to no maintenance required, and you'll be rewarded with some of the highest quality cooking coals. Here's how to make it. First, we're going to start with our tinder bundle. Once you have a decent amount, just take it and set it aside for now. Take your largest fuel logs and arrange them in a column across with a little bit of space in between. The next layer will be in a row perpendicular to your first layer. Now we're going to fill the gaps in between with some of the tinder that we set aside. Start to add some kindling as well, some of those feather sticks or little wood chips. That'll help sustain the fire as it builds. Now we build the next layer in a column perpendicular to the one below, and again fill the gaps with both tinder and kindling. To finish this off, we just add a top row, and again, each layer up has smaller sticks as you build. We add a bunch of kindling and tinder to the top now in preparation to light it. And this fire is actually lit from the top down, hence the name the top down or reverse fire. Now this is more of an advanced fire lay because you have to get all the spacing just right and properly fill it with tinder and kindling so it'll light effectively. But additionally, as you're lighting it from the top, that flame is going to be really
So I hope y'all taking notes on this. And like I said, there are plenty more videos out there that shows you other examples.
Exposed to wind and the elements, whereas the other fire styles,
if you notice how you put the rocks around it, okay?
Have the tinder bundle protected by the outer structure of the fire. Now looking through the thermal lens, we could see how this fire actually works, which is fairly hard to tell just from watching the fire with your naked eye. The embers form on top and slowly drop to the bottom. And because we have layers of tinder and kindling that we built in as we were stacking the fire up, those are going to help this fire combust from the top, slowly down to the bottom, and then all at once, which maximizes both efficiency and heat because everything's going to ignite at the exact same point. Now for reference, it took 8 whole minutes to get to this stage here, which is just when the fire actually starts to go, and 8 minutes in on the other fires looked something like this. Now at the 10-minute mark, I add the wet sock in, but the fire still really hasn't caught. But then at the 12-minute mark, it is absolutely fully involved. And now throwing on that thermal overlay, we can see the sock is the hottest it has ever been in any of the 3 scenarios. And now moving that temperature monitor all around, we could see that pretty much all the areas, even the ground in front of the fire, are way hotter than the other examples. At 16 minutes and 30 seconds, we could see what is as close to as a collapse as there's going to be with this type of fire. It's very minimal, and the fuel generally just stays together and burns efficiently to the end. And this time lapse just shows how condensed that fuel is. It just stays like this. And it's worth noting that this fire didn't require any maintenance at all. After the...
Alright, so that's good for that video. Let's play this one here. This is one I was going to show you all originally. I saved it, but it didn't want to play, so... Let's play it. So you see he has a pencil sharpener and a drill.
Down with a pencil sharpener.
Let me start it over.
I'll put this stick into the drill, then shave it down with a pencil sharpener. This will give me all kinds of wood shavings.
See, that's easy to do, right? You get a drill. This is stuff that you built to put into your survival kits, you keep in the car or whatever.
Then I'll fill up a tuna can about halfway with these.
A tuna can.
Now I need to melt some wax. So I'll put some into my double boiler. Then once it's melted, I'll pour some onto the wood shavings. I'll add a little more and then pour on some more wax. Then I'll add a third layer. After it sits for a while and cools down, you can keep it in your backpack. This will burn anywhere from 1.5 to 2 hours. You can use it as a cook stove to boil
1.5 to 2 hours. That little thing would work. That's very, very good.
water, an emergency heater, or fire starter. I'll put this stick into the drill,
play again so you can
then
see
shave it down with a pencil sharpener. This will give me all kinds of wood shavings. Then I'll fill up a tuna can about halfway with these. Now I need to melt some wax, so I'll put some into my double boiler. Then once it's melted, I'll pour some onto the wood shavings. I'll add a little more, and then pour on some more wax. Then I'll add a third layer. After it sits for a while and cools down, you can keep it in your backpack. This will burn anywhere from 1.5 to 2 hours. You can use it as a cook stove to boil water, an emergency heater, or fire starter.
All right. Close that one out.
So that will be a nice little project if you have little ones to to get save those tuna cans, right? Get the pencil sharpener, some wood, and just make those little things and put them aside for emergencies, right? Brother O'Shea?
Yes, yep. That would be perfect to put aside as a project for the little ones. The little cans of tuna that you save, you wash it out, and you can make some of these and put aside for emergency situations. All right, let me open this up. All right, read this. Just read this here. Catch up some speed. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 more videos to watch. 3 more videos to watch. All right,
environment. After you have been alerted of a hazardous material incident, you should await further information from emergency response personnel. Upon receiving this information, follow it carefully. Your primary objective is to keep your distance from the incident in order to minimize your chances of contamination. You are caught outside in an incident, try to stay upstream, uphill, and upwind.
Mm-hmm.
You want to stay upstream from toxic waste flowing in the water. So
if you are, this is what we all talk about. Always know what's upstream before drinking downstream. So if you happen to be fishing in the area or getting some drinking water, always know what's upstream before you start drinking downstream. If you happen to see like some kind of a toxic waste plant or animal farm or whatever it is in the area, or you're not sure, then you want to go as far upstream as you can go above that. Same thing with the wind. If there's a spill, chemical spill, explosion, whatever it is, you want to get upwind. You don't want to be downwind, because all of that toxic waste is going to come straight to you, and you're going to get sick, eventually, potentially causing you your life. That's good enough. Let's move on to the next slide.
Okay.
All right. Read this for me. Hiding in plain sight
refers to a situation where someone or something is concealed or goes unnoticed despite being in a visible or obvious location. This concept often implies that the subject's presence is overlooked because it blends in with its surroundings or because people are not paying close attention. In various contexts, this phrase can be applied to criminal activity. A criminal might commit acts in a way that avoids suspicion, appearing like an ordinary person in a public space. Psychology. Individuals might suppress certain emotions or aspects of their identity while presenting a different facade to the world. Nature. Animals may use camouflage to blend into the environment, making them difficult to spot.
So, are you a heavy breather? You trying to hide somewhere behind a tree? Are you?
Oh, you're always twitching. You're like always twitching.
And the person that's sitting there watching you, this person trying to hide from me, and I can see them right there. Come on out, Hebrew. I can see you. I can see your dry, ashy feet. So you have to know how to avoid suspicion. You don't want to stand out. This is where we're talking about blending in, knowing how to conceal yourself. So, do you know the difference between cover and concealment? Let me ask the Mishpachah. Do you know the difference between cover and concealment? I know some of you who has been in the military may understand that lingo, but for those of you who haven't, Stamaris say yes. All right, Stamaris, what is the difference between cover and concealment? Tell us in the chat. Tell us these things. Because you don't want to be the person that sticks out like a sore thumb, okay? You want to be able to blend in. Cover hides, conceal makes you blend in. Okay, all right, I could accept that. All right, before we go on to the next video, let me see. I want to play that one first. Put it to the side. We do the foraging. I'll do that one last. Okay, let's go here first, and then we'll go to the video. All right, so the key difference is protection. Let's look at it, Rebbe. Read that for me.
The key difference is protection. Cover protects you from bullets and physical harm. Concealment only hides you.
So you don't want to, just have like a piece of limb or branch or something in front of you and expect that to stop the bullets coming your way. Now probably from a distance somebody won't see you because the tree branch with the leaves is hiding you. But if they're shooting down at you, you want to get behind something that is solid. Okay, continue. Both have their uses, but understand when and how to use them. How to use them can make a huge difference. So to the left over here, you have with the bricks. Go ahead, read that. Cover shelters you from gunfire, will stop a bullet. Bricks, rock, steel, concrete, packed earth, large appliances. So if somebody's raining down some bullets or pelting some bullets at you, you want to get behind something that are like bricks, rocks, steel, concrete, packed earth, large appliances like a refrigerator, washing machine, stove, things like that you can hide behind of and cover yourself. Concealment now conceals you from view, will not stop a projectile. Bullet. Bushes, shadows, furniture, closed window, blinds / doors. Somebody hide behind a door and think that the bullet would stop it. Nope. So understanding these things here. Now, let me see something a minute. I'm going to pull up this video. Let's pull this to the side. And I'm going to show you. Okay. So look at this video here. This is how to build a little survival tool to protect yourself. Let's look at this first one. And there are lots of videos out there. I just picked one that was kind of simple. So those of you, this is a good project to do with the little lights. This is how to make a slingshot. You ever made one of these, Rebbe? Oh, yeah. Elder, you ever made one of these? Oh, yeah. All right. Still can. Very effective, too. Very, very effective. So if you don't have use of a firearm, that can definitely do some damage if you know how to use it. Yep. Referred to as David had the one that swung. If you're skilled that way, then yes. If you're not skilled, if you want to hit your own self, hit the wrong person. Yeah, go ahead, Ella. Go ahead.
I could remember way back in my young days. We used to pick up the tubes from the vehicles. The bike tires and car tires. The tubes, the rubber tubes. Mm-hmm. We get one of these hook there, and then we tie it. We get a piece of leather, and put 2 holes in it and tie it up. And I used to catch birds with it. What is this? Slingshot. You know, doves and other pigeons, whatever. and I used to roast it.
So wait. So you used to experience
Oh yeah, I know
some
all about
wilderness
that.
cooking.
Oh yeah, roast it.
How can you never show us this stuff, Elder? Elder's been holding back.
Leave
All right,
Elder alone. Leave Elder
let's,
alone.
let's play this.
A bingy is an implement that employs the use of rubber to launch pebbles. They are usually made for the specific purpose of shooting birds. Remember, stone no have eye, so use your slingshot with the care and the caution that it deserves. To make the slingshot, you will need a V or a U-shaped branch. We usually call this a coach stick. You will need leather. You can use the leather from an old boot. Also, you will need rubber bands. And finally, you will need a knife. Cut the stem of the main branch to make it approximately 2 inches in length, and the secondary branches about 3 inches in length.
Now, if you have power tools, you can use the power tools. What?
Now shave the bark from the cut.
Can you explain to the Mishpachal why you got to remove the bark?
Shave the top portion of
Okay, you're removing the bark because that stuff will eventually fall apart, and it will what you have taped on it, glued on, tied on, attached is going to come right off in the middle of trying to pull the rubber band back or the elastic back to aim. That's going to come apart in your hand. So you want to have it nice and smooth. That way it is better fastened.
Plus, also, it preserves the wood better.
Yeah, that too. It lasts longer when you do it that way. You can even fire harden it too. If you want to, you can put some varnish, lacquer, paint, whatever you want to put on it to decorate it too. All right.
To create a flat surface on both sides. Prepare the pouch of the slingshot by cutting a rectangular shaped portion of leather that can hold small pebbles. Make 1 centimeter size holes into both long ends of the pouch. Cut 2 strips of leather to fit over the shaved arm area of the couch. Insert 4 elastic bands through one of the holes made in the pouch. Insert another 4 elastic bands through the loops of the previous 4 to make a chain of 2 segments.
Now I'm sure you get the bigger rubber bands if you need to.
Yeah, since most vehicles nowadays is tubeless tires, it's kind of difficult to get those.
Repeat the previous process so you now have 3 segments.
With the tube, the rubber.
Insert one of the leather straps through the loose end of the elastic bands. Then place it over one arm of the coach.
Okay.
Secure it to the coach by wrapping and tying it with broken elastic bands.
He has the Rasta colors too.
Ice school and green.
Repeat the process to attach the other end of the pouch to the other end of the coach. The slingshot is now complete. If you are interested in a more or less stiff slingshot, use more or less rubber bands per segment. Now get cracking and aim safely.
All right, so that's that video. That's that video. All right, let's look at another one. This one is a little more creative. For a nail slingshot, let's see what it says here. I think Ella might like this one.
As simple as those things may be, those things are very can be very, very helpful in times of need. You know, to quietly, because you know a firearm makes a lot of noise, but you can do some damage if you know how to use those slingshots correctly, and still remain invisible.
Mm-hmm. All right, this one is a nail. He'll show you how to make it from the beginning. So a little more sophisticated. Sniper, the Hebrew sniper. Ella, you gonna make one tomorrow? Oh, yeah, I gotta make one. Oh boy.
What is that extra fingernail for, Brother Shay?
That's those dirty Hebrews.
What's that extra fingernail for?
That is for people who sniff the white powder. That's what that was for. But a lot of people don't realize that, and they go around having that to scratch stuff and sniff for stuff.
To get some gold, huh? Dig for some gold.
Yeah. See how I did the Elder? Mark it there. Drill 2 more holes. Brother Mike, you gonna make one of these? Yeah? Gonna pass the, take that and put it in there. Secure it in there. Okay. Other side of the nail.
Trigger.
Huh?
Trigger.
Yeah, that's the trigger. Yeah, you can, the different types of rubbers you can get there.
Nice little project to try with the little lights.
Yeah. So you put your bead, stone, or whatever, pebble or whatever between that. It locks it in place. Or you squeeze the little
trigger.
Nail trigger, yeah. That's interesting. All right, Elder. So you're gonna make one of those, right? All right. Yep. All right, let's look at, let's see. Got 3 more little videos here. Let's move on to the next slide. We're almost finished, Mr. Bakar. All right, tools. Anything can be used for a tool, but having the right tool for the job is key. Knives, guns, bows, and arrows, ropes with knots. So there's a saying, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. That's very true. This is where I like to be able to teach the younger ones, the brothers, so they can pass that knowledge on to know how to. This is why in our scriptures it says, teach our men how to use the bow. It's in the book of Joshua also. Teach our men how to use these things. Sisters can learn how to use all these things here also, okay? To protect you and your family.
I got a script in Sirach that I want to add to the wisdom that you just put there.
All right, what is it?
38, let's go to 24.
38 and verse 24. Sirach 38 and verse 24.
It says, the wisdom of a learned man cometh by opportunity of leisure. So what does that mean? Opportunity of leisure. That means that you got to make time to learn, right? Wisdom of a learned person comes by making the time. You got to take time out to learn. And he that hath little business shall become wise, right? If you're not over busy and distracted, you're not going to learn anything. As simple as some of these things are, you don't have to go out there and you don't have to worry about where can I get me some 9mm? Where can I get this stuff from? We're talking about a stripped down survival thing right here. Leaves and bush and twigs and whatever it is to survive. Simple things. Being like a MacGyver to survive. And as crazy as this stuff sounds, it works.
Yeah. Works very well. Let me pull up, let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 1 and verse 18. And it's referenced here. I'll go ahead and read that.
And he bade them teach the children of Judah the use of the bow. Behold, it is written in the book of Jasher.
So you got to teach your children. Yeah, make sure you know how to do it yourself. Teach your children how to use the equipment. If you have access to these types of weapons and stuff, it's good to learn, it's good to have. But when you don't have them, you go back to the nature where you learn how to make a bow. We just saw the two videos, examples with the slingshot, and the one with the piece of wood with the nails, and a nail slingshot. How to do that.
And you know what's funny though, Brother Shay? Esau teaches their children at an early age how to hunt and how to do all the different things. But our people, especially those from churchianity, they will start complaining. Oh, what are you doing with that? You're gonna hurt somebody. Oh, you shouldn't have a bow. All this kind of fear mongering. Instead of taking the time to teach children how to hunt and fish and use these things from an early age, they're not going to be, worried or different things. But believe me, you hear a lot from these mothers from churchianity. Oh, what if he loses his eye? And so you got dumb, soft Israelites.
Dumb, soft Israelites. All right, fair use. Look at this video. This is some knots now for ropes. Some anchor hitch. So it's good to learn different types of knots, how to tie knots. The more you practice it, the better your hands get with it. It's just like tying your shoelaces. For those of you who know how to tie shoelaces. All right. So learn some of these here because they come in handy when you got to pull stuff together, tie stuff, hold stuff up, and you got to pull stuff from point A to point B. If you got to hang stuff to climb over or to pull stuff up, to lower stuff down, hold stuff in place. See how they did that knot right there? I know some people just keep tying. They'll tie the same knot 100 times. And by the time they're finished, they use half the rope. When you could just do a simple knot that requires less, and it's stronger than 100 ties that you do. All right, this one here is the bow line, I think it's called. Pass it around. This is stuff that you have to practice, Mishpachah. You go outside with the little lights, go outside with your husband or your wife, and sit down as a family one day and says, let's practice some knots. You put on the videos, YouTube, and you get a piece of rope. Because in school they teach you this. They give you a piece of rope 6 feet long, 3 feet long, and you sit there for a good hour, and you get graded by learning how to do these knots. This one is called a rolling hitch now. And you learn it when you're doing it with your hands. Just by watching it, you won't get it. But as you get a piece of rope and you sit down and watch a video and you do it, so you hit and repeat and you do it again. And your hands, you have muscle memory. You learn how to do those specific ties, and you can hold stuff. All right. All right, so that's that video. I got one more video after this last slide, and then we will call it a night. Okay, so this last slide here is just talking about the strongest knot. Read that for me. I think you're on mute.
Yeah, the double fisherman's knot or double overhand stopper knot is generally considered one of the strongest knots for joining ropes together. It's known for its reliability and ability to hold a strong connection even under heavy loads. The bowline is another strong and versatile knot, often used for creating loops, and is known for its ability to hold a load while still being relatively easy to untie.
So those are some of the names: a double fisherman's knot, or a double overhand stopper, and a bowline. Those are two good ones that you can learn to do. All right, let's watch this last video. This one is about foraging plants. I'm gonna do a separate class at another time, but I wanted to stick this in here just to kind of help us, in a survival sense, learn plants around you. Take your time, learn plant, because the Most High puts poisonous plants and healing plants all in the same area. That way, if you get injured over here, you know how to use those for medicinal purposes, and for food also. There's a movie, I forgot the name of it, but it was this young guy, Edomite. His father and mother, he was about to graduate from high school or college. I think it was high school. And they bought him a car, asked him what he wanted to do. He said he wanted to travel the world and survive first before he go to school. Anyhow, he goes off, he sells everything, and he just has the clothes on his back, a backpack, money in his pocket. And he travels the country, and he's going, experiencing, living off the land, different kind of things. He ends up in Alaska somewhere, I think it's Alaska, and ends up eating some berries or something he was supposed to eat.
Yeah, I saw that. I remember that.
Yeah, and he ended up dying, but the antidote was right in the same area.
Yeah.
So you learn certain things. All right, so this is about foraging.
Foraging is more than a hobby. It's a means of sustenance, and for some of us, it really is a way of life. Pretty much everyone has an idea that some wild plants are edible, whether they work in a city high-rise or hoe weeds on the farm. And even in this strange modern age, many of us still have childhood memories.
And you may think that weeds is weeds, they're just there. But a lot of those weeds have some of the best properties to help treat a lot of the illnesses that we have, help with a lot of different things. And they're the ones that you see them spraying pesticides all over just to get to kill the weeds.
Finding a cache of wild strawberries, chewing on sour grapevine tendrils, or getting scratched up while picking blueberries and blackberries. But when you become an adult, life becomes complicated. We learn about liability and risk. We try not to trespass on land that's not ours. We hear about ecology and threatened species, and some of us eat out for every meal because we found ourselves living a hectic, stress-filled life. We end up so very distant from understanding the plants that surround us. And suddenly, if your young child grabs your hands and tugs you towards a loaded berry bush, you might find yourself pulling them back, muttering, "Well, what if it's poisonous?" Or "Leave it alone, we'll get food later." If those words catch in your throat, or if you were that kid, this video is for you. The truth is, there's abundant wild food out there that's nutritious and free and absolutely delicious. I know many of us haven't grown up with parents or a community that foraged regularly and taught us the ropes. Many of us might not be sure where to look or how to get started or even how to know which plants are safe in the first place. But after watching this video, I hope to set your feet on a good path towards understanding and the beginning of your own foraging journey. Now, when it comes to beginning foraging, the first matter of business is proper plant identification. Though the number of people who have poisoned themselves with wild plants is minuscule compared to the generations of people and cultures who have eaten and thrived.
All right, so real quick, avoid eating white and yellow berries because they are deemed poisonous, okay? Blue and black berries are usually safe to eat. The blue rule is that 10% of white and yellow berries are edible, 50% of red berries are edible, 90% of blue and black berries or purple berries are edible, and 99% of aggregated berries are edible. So if you know the colors, so from the smallest, so 10% of white and yellow. So if you're not sure when you see little yellow or white berries, stay away from them unless you know exactly what it is. Red, 50% of it of the time, some are poisonous and some of them are not. But blue, up to 90% of all blue and black berries are not poisonous. So that's just something to kind of keep in your mind when you're foraging out there trying to eat and survive.
On these plants. There are poisonous plants out there, and it's the job of any forager to know how to identify them and, of course, not eat them. There is inherent risk with any activity, of course, but the specter of poison has created two very extreme and erring sides of the beginning forager's spectrum. On one half are the terrified. These are the folks still suspicious that every plant is so potentially poisonous that they can make themselves feel literally sick, even if the food was safe and correctly identified. As anyone who has struggled with anxiety knows, it makes you feel nauseated and panicked, and those symptoms are very easy to assign to an imagined poisoning. Worry saps the flavor out of any meal and keeps you from progressing in knowledge. However, I suppose the irony on this side of the spectrum is that these people probably never get poisoned. They can't, because they're too worried that that clump of wild strawberries might, just might, be a deadly nightshade bush in disguise. Spoiler alert, it's not. But on the other side of the spectrum are the throw caution to the wind folks, or unsupervised children. Armed with anecdotes, vague information, and bragging overconfidence, they'll eat a plant, even if their identification is lacking. When others are watching and you want to show off your wilderness prowess, it's very easy to declare yourself an expert because you read a book or an article once, and you know just a few more facts than your audience does. I would exercise caution around anyone who declares themselves an expert, by the way. These people are the ones who may tragically poison both themselves and the reputation of foraging, adding fuel to the fire of our Western culture's complete disconnect and overblown fear of the natural world. So your job is to be in the thoughtful, well-informed middle. To neither make the assumption that every plant could hurt you, nor the assumption that no plant could hurt you. And that starts with knowing a thing or two or 20 about the plants that you hope to eat. So let's talk about how to get started.
So number one is properly identify the plants, so know what you're dealing with.
In order to forage, you need to be willing to learn a lot about plants, not just their names, but their parts, their growing seasons, their preferred habitats, and any idiosyncrasies.
So know it in the growing stages is what she's saying, how it looks when it's just coming in and when it's fully ripe. So you won't get, you want to pick the wrong thing, basically.
Taking the time to really learn your foraged food will allow you to follow the single most important rule in foraging. Never eat a plant unless you are 100% positive of its identity. Samuel Thayer has written a 5-step process for plant identification that's just so spot on I couldn't improve it.
So look at that book right there. We have that book. That's a very good book. Nature's Garden, a guide to identifying, harvesting, and preparing edible wild plants. So this guy here tells you all about the different plants out there, what's in your backyard, what's in your neighborhood, what's in your community, the state you live in, the country you live in, stuff like that, okay? So that's a good book to get.
So here's a summary of the process I've learned from his books and that I use myself in the field. Number 1, tentative identification. This is when you find a plant and you think you know what it is. This is the beginning of an identification process, however, not the only part of it. Number 2, reference comparison. Now take some time to inspect your potentially identified plant. Compare it to the guidebook that introduced it to you in the first place and read through the description.
So you get the book. Now you have smartphones that you can look while you're out there and you can compare it. You know, Google has, you take a picture and it tells you what it is. Technology is there, so there's no excuse. But this is an emergency event. No power, no technology, is all gone. You go back to the books, the book age. And then you learn that now. So when that happens, you don't need a cell phone. You teach your little lights by your side. When you're picking, so this is a flower, this is edible, you can eat this. If you ever see this, you look for these lines, you look for this circle, you look for this, and you explain to them so they can understand it while they're learning.
Carefully. Make sure that every point listed matches, particularly the ones that are emphasized as key features. If it doesn't match, don't force it to match. And if you don't understand all...
In other words, if it's a purple flower, not every purple flower fits that. Find the one that actually matches, okay? And if you're not sure, ask another Hebrew. Get a second pair of eyes to check with you.
Botanical lingo, don't just gloss over it. If you lazily TLDR a plant description because the terms are unfamiliar, you put yourself in unnecessary danger. Learn what an umbel, a bract, a petiole, and a raceme are, and so on, because these are crucial tools for positive identification. And finally, never use a single feature as the only identification confirmation.
Don't use one feature. Use all the features. In other words, you're looking at this plant and it has thorns. Okay, this has to be acacia bush or acacia bush. No, it could be a rose. Rose has thorns too. So you have to know the stem, you have to know the leaf, the flower, the fruit, the root, how everything looks to identify, to know for sure what it is.
Number 3, cross-referencing. Now run through step 2 with at least 2 other foraging resources or field guides. Read carefully about potential lookalikes. Make sure you have triple confirmation on the plant's identity. Number 4, specimen search. Now, go find lots and lots and lots of samples of your potentially identified plant in the field. As you know, or as you'll learn, the environment can totally change how a plant grows. A dandelion growing directly in a sunny field, for instance, will produce feathery, deeply lobed leaves that lay almost flat on the ground. A dandelion growing in a shaded area will grow wide leaves that point upwards. You need to learn the range of variability for your target plants.
See, I didn't know that. I didn't know that in the shade it grow different from when it's out in the sun. Same plant, one will grow down and one will grow up when it's in the shade.
You can develop your recognition beyond the single photo in a guidebook. This process may take an hour or it might take years. And step number 5, contradictory confidence. This is the deep-seated confidence that means you can recognize and positively identify a plant as food, even if someone were trying to convince you otherwise. That's how well you should know a plant before you eat it. If there is a shred of doubt about a plant you found, use it as a red flag that it's not time to eat it yet. This is perhaps the most difficult level of identification to achieve, but it's the most crucial. With some plants, it might take years to grasp. Take that time. I still have many plants that are stuck at this step. Though I can find them, I don't have complete confidence if someone were to challenge me on it, and so I still haven't eaten them. Now here's some new forager tips. Don't overindulge. As anyone who has gorged on ice cream knows, the nausea that accompanies an overindulgence is not pleasant. But no one would say you've been poisoned by ice cream. Wild foods also need to be eaten in rational amounts, even if you...
Balance, moderation. Not because you see all strawberries, you want to eat all the strawberries in the field. You gotta eat 1 or 2 here, 1 or 2 there.
found enough to feed an army. Err on the side of caution, particularly with a new one. Eat a small amount and see how you respond to it. Listen to your body. You should listen closely to the physiological cues your body gives when you've ingested a small sample of a new plant for the first time. If you've done your homework, cross-referenced, and identified it correctly, you'll be fine and nothing will happen except the satisfaction of finding a new food. But on the off chance that you start salivating uncontrollably, feel a burning sensation in your throat, find it unpalatably bitter, feel nauseated, or just can't stomach the flavor, spit it out. Your body is telling you that something's wrong. Maybe the plant was misidentified. Maybe it's the wrong time of year to eat it. Maybe you're allergic or something else is going on. Obviously, don't eat any more of the plant. Instead, take several photos or a sample to research why your body reacted and make sure you learn from your experience. If misidentification is the culprit, naturalists at local departments of conservation can often offer positive identification of local plants. Right plant, right time, right way. Wild plants are much like any other domesticated plant. They taste best and are most useful when the right plant is used in the right way at the right point in its growth. Think about the difference between eating a perfect avocado, which is the best, and an avocado that is a week too old, which is the worst. Or consider the potato. Not so great raw, but amazing when cooked. Wild plants likewise have windows of prime palatability and safety. Since we in the West don't have a huge cultural tradition of using wild plants, you'll have to go on a personal quest to meet and know every wild plant that you add into your foraging repertoire.
Because some plants you can eat it raw, and some plants you have to cook it, basically. You have to know how to eat it, when to eat it. I'm going to play one more minute of this, and I have one more short video, and then we're going to close out.
Read carefully about when it's best to harvest a wild plant during the growing year and how it's best to prepare for it. Now let's talk about where to find this wild food. The easiest and most accessible place to find wild food is on your own property, and you don't need to even have a back 40 to have enough land. Even a postage stamp in the city can grow a surprising array of food to forage if you know what to look for. Of course, if you find wild plants that you particularly enjoy, there's no reason you can't plant them on your property and maintain your own patches of undomesticated goodness. You can obtain seedlings and bare root trees of many edible native plants from your state's Department of Conservation. Other people's land. This is an option for the bold and polite only. While driving through the city or country, you may find a field or area totally loaded with promising looking...
Now, I don't advise nobody to go out in the city because you have animals out there just...
That's right.
Everything and just freely using the area.
Hey, Brother Shay, also another thing that can be harvested or eaten is the bamboo shoots.
Yeah.
The young bamboo shoots, family. Look that up and you can see, do some research on that, because a lot of times in the woods you might come across bamboo. And remember, some of these Chinese foods, that's what you find in it, right? So that's something to consider too. It's very healthy to eat.
Like I said, I'm gonna put a class together on this for another night.
Okay.
The plants. Let me play this last video. Let me see if I can get it.
All right.
Do not cut your grass. You probably have medicine growing outside in your yard.
Let me pause it a minute. All right. Where did it go? Come on. All right. Let's play this one.
And you don't even know it. Do not cut your grass. You probably have medicine growing outside in your yard and you don't even know it. All of this is medicinal. All of it. This plant right here is called yellow dot. It is a great liver detox. This plant right here is dandelion, also a great liver detox and hope.
So let me go back a little bit. It's a little too fast so you can see it. Yellow dock. It's a mild laxative, a liver detox, and it helps on some skin issues. Again, do your research on this while you're taking little notes. You can go in, you can do the research, and you can actually take the pictures and go outside in your backyard and look. and collect these things. Again, you're not going into the park in the city or out in the neighborhood in people's yards, because animal feces and all kinds of stuff you deal with. We're talking about in nature where you have your own land or you're out in the wild, okay? And you see these things. Yeah, all right.
Liver detox. This plant right here is dandelion.
All right, dandelion is a common one that you see. They call it a weed, but it's very good for liver and body detox. Helps with joint pain and helps with some skin conditions, okay?
Also a great liver detox and whole body detox. This plant right here is called chicory. It is
chicory root, regulates blood sugar. If you have problems with your blood, you can have some of this. Stimulates digestion, and also it's a coffee substitute. Now, you learn these things because you want to have it in moderation. You're not going to have a whole bowl full of chicory root, because then that's going to lower your blood sugar or raise it up, and then you end up having diarrhea or something. You have to have it in moderation. Know how much you can have for yourself, because what you take may be different for another brother or sister, okay? Or when to use it, yeah.
also good for your digestive system, and it also makes a good coffee substitute. If you're looking to stop bleeding, this plant right here called fleabane.
Fleabane is used for colds, coughs, and fevers, and it helps stop bleeding, relieves headaches. Again, know how it's used. Some things you would boil, some things you would put into a paste, some things you would just put on just like that, some things you eat raw. So you have to know how you're going to use these things. Do a little more research.
It's a great plant to apply to your poultice to help stimulate blood clotting. And then right next to it, we have plantain, which is another great plant for skin.
So this is not the plantain that you eat, that is the cousin to the banana. This is a weed that's called plantain. It's a wound healing. It heals cuts, burns, and bug bites and digestions. I think this one is the one that you will have to mish up into a paste and you apply it on your topical on your skin. I believe this one is done that way. But again, do your research and you will see how to apply it, how it's used.
Issues. It helps with cuts, bruises, bug bites, literally anything for your skin. This plant is the GOAT. Now, if you want something that will knock you out after a long day or take that pain away, this right here is called wild lettuce.
Wild lettuce is a sedative, pain reliever. Helps with asthma and coughs. So dig into it some more. Look and see how much to use, because again, you don't want to take a whole bunch of this and then you end up in the ER somewhere, or end up hurting yourself more. Okay.
And if you're new here, I'm a herbalist, and on this page, I provide Black and Indigenous herbal knowledge, facts, and history, and that's what you're into. Go ahead and give me a follow. All right, now I can keep going, so y'all let me know. Should we do a part 2?
All right, so this is her page. If you want to know, it's right there. All right. So Mishpachah, again, tonight we're talking about surviving the wilderness. This is part 2, praying, practicing, and preparing. Hopefully we all can learn something. We can teach our children. We can teach our significant others, family members, parents, siblings, and we can help grow the house of Israel as a family in these last days. Everything is coming to fruition where it's rapidly approaching. Prophecies are unfolding, and we need to be prepared. Like I said in my opening statement, if we do our part, the Most High is going to do his part. If we obey the statutes, commandments, laws, and we love our brothers and sisters, the Most High is going to protect us. He's going to put his spirit upon us in time of trouble and cause us to have the strength, the energy, the know-how to protect ourselves when the time is right. So we're not going out there with boots on trying to start a war. We're staying incognito under the radar. We're going to keep the commandments and serve the Most High. We're going to build our homes. We're going to raise our families until our Savior returns. Hallelujah. All right, Rebbe, any last words?
I think you did pretty good with recapping some of the last class and then adding some more stuff. I think it's good that people can see some of the basic stuff. You don't need to spend a whole lot of money. You can make things on your own, and you can make it a fun little exercise for the children too, so that they can have fun but also educate themselves on different tools, and especially with the herbs. Young minds have a way of absorbing things quicker. And so, give them some paper, let them draw the pictures of these plants, let them, taste it, and just see what you can come up with. Maybe you can make a salad out of it. Maybe you can, a tincture or something for healing. Just get them activated into learning some of these things, and you'll see how the next generation after them will be even better. So I thank the Most High for everyone being here, and I pray that you all continue praying for one another in these dark days that is lying ahead, that we can see light even in this darkness. Thank you, Brother Shea, for wonderful teaching tonight, and we look forward for the next one in Yeshua's name.
Hallelujah. Elder?
Oh, yes. But Yona already explained, and I can see truly the good Heavenly Father has given you the knowledge and understanding to bring this class together and to present it. So I pray that all of us that participate tonight and learn, that we too will look around and we will study, we will buy the books, and whatever we have to do, we'll do it wisely. And the good Lord will help us and bless us, that we will be healed from different sickness and disease as we do it in this life. So it was a good class, and I want to thank Brother Oshe and Brother Yona and all of us that participate tonight. May the Lord bless us all. In Yeshua's name, amen.
All right, let's pray, Elder.
You're going to close out with prayer?
Heavenly Father, we thank you again for your blessings upon our teachers and also all of us. We give you thanks and praise. We ask you that thou may visit those that are sick, those that have lost their loved ones, that thou may heal their bodies and comfort the families, and help us to dismiss with your blessing tonight from above, and go to sleep tonight with a wonderful, get a wonderful night rest. And tomorrow when we wake up, we'll give you all the thanks and praise, because we love you and we thank you. Through your Son Yahushua we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Let the words of our mouth, meditation of our hearts, be acceptable in your sight, O Abba, who is our strength and our Redeemer.
You all,
Shalom.
Shalom. Love you all. Stay strong. Stay sharp. Shalom.
I look at you going through, only getting stronger, stronger. You're not weak, no, that's not true. You're stronger than you know. Access willpower. The load that why you carry heavy, and now what you find the strength to carry. You made it through the toughest tragedy. When I see you, courage, wisdom, I see. I look at you going through, only getting stronger, stronger. You're not weak, no, that's not true. You're stronger than you know. Access willpower. You did what seemed impossible to do, even when you thought you won't be able to. The kind of things that you have endured, you are strong and someone that I admire. I look at you going through, only getting stronger.